Good afternoon, everybody. Wow. Right away. Akin, thank you so much for joining in and hitting the thumbs up so quickly. Well, what should we talk about a little bit? It looks like they're doing some work on the Riverwalk here. From what I understand, they're actually going to put some lighting in, so it's going to make it easier to I don't know about making it easier, but it'll be more comfortable to walk at night down the Riverwalk because it's going to be all lit up. So that's going to be quite nice, and I guess that's what they're working on right now. So anyway, I put a few links down in the description for you guys. Like always, I've been putting links down in the description. Pretty interesting what's happening in the markets right now, especially the lumber market. Man, what a huge difference in the futures price. We were talking 1,000 per thousand in the May contract, and now here we are in the July contract, and it's all the way down to like 690, 700 per thousand. Man, what a huge drop. And this is freaking people out. I mean, everybody all of a sudden is just like, what's going on? What's happening here? And I think a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding the futures market and what's going on, because a lot of people also think there's a lot of speculation happening inside of the futures market when it comes to lumber. And I don't know how much speculation could actually take place if you own one of these contracts and you actually end up having to take delivery on it. That's like 110,000 board feet, and I can't quite describe it, but it's probably close to like a train load of, a train load or car load of lumber. So it's quite significant. So if you're not prepared to deal with that much lumber or a place to put it or go with it or pay the storage on it, then I can't imagine you playing around or speculating with the futures contract. ETFs are a little bit different from that. But right now, what we saw was the May contract close at like what, 920 per thousand, and that's going to leave a lot of very expensive lumber in the system. And until that works through for the next month or so, we're probably not going to see a lot of price relief happening inside of the retail market. But once we do, it should come down pretty significantly. From what I understand, the OSB market is becoming a little bit more prevalent, and that should bring down the pressure on the CDX prices and sheathing altogether. So we should start seeing building material prices coming down substantially. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say substantially. I guess if somebody hears substantially, they think it'd go back to like the normal price. That's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to end up going to, somewhere in the high normals. Instead of being $10 a 2x4/8, it's going to be like $5, 4 or 5. That would be like a reasonable price for me, at least comparatively to what we saw in the past or pre-pandemic. But let's talk about what the bullwhip effect has done. Now, here we're starting to see it. We're starting to see the inventory levels rise at the retail levels, and I knew this was going to take place. I said it a long time ago that the bullwhip effect is eventually going to find its way into the retail market, and we are now seeing it take place. Look at the YouTube video that I leave in the description for you guys. Oh my gosh, what was it? I mean, I like this guy's channel too. I can't believe I can't think of it right now. Reventure Consulting is the name of the YouTube channel. He does a great job talking about the rising inventory levels and the downward pressure it's putting on the stock prices of some of these major retailers like Target and Walmart and Lowe's and everybody else out there. And I knew it was going to happen. I could see it taking place. I mean, I work retail for a living, so it wasn't difficult for me to see the transactions that were happening on a regular basis with my retail customers. And this is something that is not exposed throughout the rest of the supply chain, all the way up to the manufacturers. And if you're not familiar with the bullwhip effect, and the way I described it was with excuse me guys, was with the plumbing fittings. Oh, hey, thank you very much, Economic Stalker, for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate it. We'll get back to your question here in just a moment. But we were talking about these plumbing fittings, and I had seen where these customers had come in who were in this particular plumbing fitting. They were in need of it. It was a 4-inch Fernco, and if you're not familiar with that, it's like a rubber coupling with 2 hose clamps on each end of it, and it's a very simple plumbing fitting. I mean, most stores and hardware stores have, like, stacks of these things. There's never a problem with them. Well, they came up in short supply during the pandemic, and this is a critical piece, especially if you do like septic systems or any kind of underground work where you're connecting two different types of pipe together. These things make it very simple to just kind of join these two together. So when they were in short supply, a lot of these people who do this kind of groundwork or these septic systems, they were like, oh my gosh, what do we do? I mean, this little $10 part is holding up $10,000. So when we did get them in, they would buy them all, like, or 4 or 5 of them. And I would say, well, don't you just need like 1 or 2? And they'd be like, yeah, but we're not going to be running out of these again. We're not going to hold up our job again. I want to make sure that I always have some on hand. So they would buy up more than what they typically would need. Well, if every customer does that, and I've seen more than one customer do this, they would buy like everything off the shelf that we would have just to have them on hand because they were worried about things coming up in short supply. Well, if every customer does this and the store recognizes that the shelf is constantly empty of these particular fittings because the customers are buying them all instead of just buying the 1 or 2 that they typically would need, well, the algorithm doesn't recognize what the customer was thinking, that it was a panic buy, that it was a fear of missing out kind of purchase. The algorithms don't pick that up. All they see is that there is a constant demand happening for these particular fittings. And so what ends up happening going through the supply chain is that if many stores do this, then all the distribution networks, all the distribution hubs, all these people recognize these orders coming in, but they don't realize that it's a panic purchase either. And so they go all the way up to the manufacturer saying, hey, we need a lot of these fittings. And all of a sudden, here comes the flood of fittings coming into the system because everybody was anticipating. But there's not that many purchases really needed. It was just really the one that the customer needed, but they bought up more than what they need. And now they're sitting on them, and now the shelves are sitting full, and the warehouses are getting built, and they're getting filled, and the inventories are beginning to rise, and the prices are going to do what? At some point they're going to start coming down. We haven't seen it yet, but just give it a little bit of time, and you're going to start seeing 2-for-1 deals. You're going to start seeing, the super cheap deals that you will blow your mind. You're going to be like, man, I cannot believe how cheap some of this stuff has gotten. Things like houses and cars, things that you take out like loans for, that stuff is also going to start coming down. Things that are experiences, things that you have to travel for or spend energy on or food on or anything like that kind of stuff is going to be expensive. So you're going to find a lot of stuff inside of the economy that is going to become much more available and is going to get less expensive. But other things in the economy are just going to continue to just blow your mind on how expensive and how unavailable they really are, especially when it comes to things like food going into the future. It's not like food's not going to be there. It's just going to get very expensive. So, okay, let's talk here a little bit. There was a $10 up there from Akin, You Rock Brothers, CCO Quartereth 1/4 Infantry. Oh, right on, man. CCO 1/4 Infantry. God, I can't talk today. I'm just like, maybe I need more coffee. Not your problem. $2. Thank you very much. Can't wait to buy me a cheap Cessna 172 or a Corolla. Yeah, I've been eyeballing the Camaros, guys. Like you said, like I've been telling you, I've been wanting a different kind of car to drive around, something that's a lot more reliable. I'm driving a lot further distance now, and although this Corolla is a great car and it gets good gas mileage, it's going to eventually find its way out of usefulness, and I'm going to have to get something that's going to be a little bit better and nicer to drive. And I don't know. I'm not sure what it is that I'm going to get. I mean, I love those Camaros, but I don't know. Really, at the end of the day, I'm more of a practical kind of person, so I'll probably end up getting something that's more practical than getting a fancy Camaro to drive around. Can you buy the Corolla? What am I going to do my videos in? I mean, I was going to keep it for my studio, right? My Corolla never rolled 300,000 miles. The odometer locked at 299.99. Yeah, mine's digital. I don't know. What is it going to like? Isn't it going to continue? Let's see. Small 4x4 truck. Yeah. New Corolla is 27,000. Okay, got in a Honda Pilot at 4K, keeping it as long as I can with the current used car cost. Yeah, I know, and that's just the thing. I have like a backup car too, because I always have the S10 to drive around as well. So even if this thing did finally, like, just quit on me, which I can't see it happening, the thing runs like a top. Um, I always have like the S10 as like a backup, but really, I was just hoping to have something nicer to drive around. But I don't know. Anyway, do we want to talk about deflation or something, or the inventory levels? Okay, love the title. Now the real economic crisis begins. Yeah, because that's really what's going to end up happening here is that we're going to get these high inventory levels. People are going to be like, look how much the dollar can buy. They're going to forget about like how there's a real problem taking place out there, much like they didn't realize there was a real problem taking place during the pandemic, because it was the best time they ever had, considering that there was all this free money coming through the system, all the stimulus checks, and don't pay rent, and don't worry about making your house payment, and here just sit at home and spend a bunch of money on Amazon. That, like, during that time, people should have realized that, holy moly, we are in a serious like situation here that we need to take some serious consideration over and maybe prepare for some downtime coming into the future. But they didn't. They partied it away, right? Saw some beers, and this is something that we've talked about. So now here we're going to have this bullwhip effect. We went from this short supply of everything, ran out of stock on everything because everybody panic bought, and new TVs and cookware and exercise equipment for everybody. Now they don't want that stuff, but the inventory is still coming in. Right? That stuff has been purchased, and there was a lot of it and massive demand. Remember, this was like a lot of people said this overwhelming consumer demand. It wasn't. It was just this panic buying that was happening. Anyway, here comes the inventory. We're going to end up sitting on a bunch of inventory. People are going to be real happy about that. But look what's going on in China. They're shutting down a lot of the manufacturing going on over there. They're not exporting like they once were. That's the other part of the bullwhip effect. So here we have this inventory coming in. We're sitting on a bunch of it thinking we're fat and happy with it. Once we get through that inventory, there's not going to be a lot coming in. It's going to be almost nothing. Oh, sorry, man. I am going too fast, aren't I? I just realized that. There's going to be not a lot coming in. And once it doesn't come in, people are going to start freaking out at that point. And that's where the real crisis. Right now is a critical situation. This is your last attempt. I put out videos before of like, your time to prepare is gone. Well, this is by far your last chance. I mean, once this inventory level is depleted, there is nothing left. There is nothing coming in to back it up. And that's going to be a major problem for the next 10 years after this. And so when they're trying to bring like domestic manufacturing back to the United States, there is no way it's going to happen. The only way it can happen is to fall into complete poverty, and then we can start from something new. But the Cantillon effect has already told us that we are going into a situation where it's going to be nothing but foreign imports coming in. And then once that is gone, we all fall into poverty. It's happening. Just follow it. Just like, it's not going to be exactly the same every single time in history, but you can just see what's going on. I mean, he talked about it as far as like the occurrence of the move into luxury, where everybody's feeling this move into luxury, where they don't feel like they have to work, but yet they're provided with everything that they need in life. This is that move into luxury. When the people in the society feel this, that's the end game. That's the end of it. And then once you're cut off from the foreign imports, which is about ready to happen because China's not making anything, so there's not going to be a whole lot coming in here after this inventory level is already moved into the country. Once that's over, then we're not going to have a lot of imports coming into the country, and that's going to be the downward shift towards poverty. And people are going to feel it. They're going to experience it. This downturn in the market, we may not see it return. It may just end up being that this high inventory level does not cause a major push into consumerism. I don't know how to say this, right? Into making a bunch of purchases. That's going to be very painful for these major corporations, these major retailers out there, as they pay interest on these inventory. They have to make payments on it until it sells. This is not good. We're in a bad situation. Wow, 1,000 of you? Holy moly, my goodness. Be sure and hit the like button, guys. With 159 likes and 1,000 people watching right now, I know there could be a lot more likes. You start liking and the video, and it starts spreading it through the algorithm, and we start getting a lot more people up in here. But holy moly, over 1,000! I don't think I've ever had 1,000 before. Yes, this is the deflation. This is going to be a deflationary situation. It's not going to be in everything. There's going to be inflation in a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to the input cost, energy input cost and the stuff. But you're going to find things that have already been made and shipped into this country, like the useless items of the world, like the things that are not necessity. Those things are going to go into deflation. People are going to start moving into the necessities that they need, like securing food and shelter and stuff like that. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the most important thing to people. Things like TVs and toys and ATVs and the camping equipment and all that other stuff. Well, maybe camping equipment, they might hold on to that as a last resort, but and survival stuff. But like all the things that they were using for fun, like things that were fun, people are going to forget about fun because things aren't going to be fun after this. I mean, it's going to be fun for a little bit because they're going to think, man, look how awesome everything is. While the dollar is strengthening and all this cheap stuff is going to be floating through the system. Not cheap stuff like gas, but cheap stuff like TVs. But after that, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a tough time. 1,100, my goodness. 369 likes. So we're getting there, guys. Let's get like 700 likes. That would be awesome. All right? Camping equipment going to be living equipment soon. Yeah, that's kind of why I backed out of it, because that's really what it's going to end up being. People are going to have that as like their backup to bail out. It's amazing on how many people live in tents now. There's even this young lady who's living like right near where I work, and I talked to her because she comes in and she'll buy like batteries or tarps or something, and I talked to her and she seems fairly with it, like like a lot of people, you can tell that it's like drugs or something, or they had like this really serious mental deterioration to him. I mean, she may have like those issues, but it doesn't seem that in appearance. But there she is living in a tent in a parking spot. It's quite sad. All right. Hills. We all used to live in tents like the Native Americans. Yeah, I guess there was a time. All right, $5 from Not Your Problem. Thank you very much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Vegas is desperate. They are sending me offers for free food, stay, and tickets to Justin Bieber. Lots of laughs. I would have gone again if it was Santana tickets. Yeah, well, geez, right about now, I would take tickets to just about anything, anywhere, because I haven't really done a whole lot. That Houston trip is really the only thing I've done in the last 6 months. Wow. I need to get out more. I need to get out a lot more. I am in the steel industry, and we are not seeing much of a slowdown. Sheet metal, beam, highway safety. Yeah, I would give it some time. You're probably not going to see it right away in a lot of the like major industrial supply. I'm noticing it here on the retail side. And this is like the beginning, like the very front of the slowdown. Like when my phone stops ringing, that's the very first thing that tells us that there is a slowdown taking place. I work retail for a living. Then it starts moving up the chain. Eventually, you'll get into those bigger projects like the industrial stuff, and you'll start seeing slowdowns up there as well. But as for right now, you're going to see the major suppliers of on that side of things probably still continue to push their business. But yeah, as far as like the retail end, I mean, it is slowed down dramatically, and lumber futures are screaming that. And also like, what was it, the builder sentiment when it comes to buyers traffic, like the new traffic coming in to buy homes, they're backing away. They're like, man, these interest rates are really high, these prices are too much, and everything is just up in the air as far as like whether or not there's going to be an availability of like opportunity going into the future. So there's so much like uncertainty. Remember, I was going to make fun of the word uncertainty too. But there's so much of that going on right now that people are just like, they're not eager to buy a house. And with the possibilities of like prices coming down, now they're really not eager to do it. But it doesn't mean inventory levels have grown. Like we're still sitting on incredibly tight inventory levels, and until that changes, we're probably going to see prices stay elevated. I mean, there's a lot of headwinds going into the retail market, into the real estate market. I mean, and retail as well. But it's a matter of like watching that inventory level. Once it starts to rise, you're going to start seeing the prices come down, and they're probably going to come down quite fast. All right. Have you seen that Iran? They've introduced a digital rationing system for subsidized bread and are planning to push it out to other important food stuff like chicken and cooking oil. No, I haven't, but I am not surprised that a digital like currency would do such a thing. It's very much in line with what the powers that be would want a digital currency to do. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I'll have to go look into that because that's pretty concerning. But I mean, on a different idea of it, if you don't look at it from the evilness of it, it's actually kind of cool that they were able to do that. It's just like, no, keep you from hoarding, keep other people from, taking too much or whatever. But I don't like the idea myself. I think it leaves too much room for corruption and something like that. All right. LVL's inventory. Yeah, I see. Well, I still have. I've heard of there being issues in the LVL industry. And that's laminated veneer lumber. It's like when they take a lot of sheets of plywood and glue them together to make a beam. That's the easiest way to kind of describe it. And I heard of there being an issue with a lot of these manufactured, like these engineered type products, I-joists, glue them beams, LVLs, stuff like that. I personally haven't experienced it. Now, when I call my suppliers, something interesting happens. When I ask for a beam, they say, hold on one second. And then they come back, yeah, okay, we can sell you that. And it's like they almost have to ask permission to sell me this stuff. So there must be a limitation out there. Now, again, I haven't experienced like, no, you can't get yet. But other people, I have heard of that happening. So, all right. Okay, there's another super chat. Thank you so much. Michael, last name not included. Thank you for the $5. I really appreciate it. Do you think it's worth building a house this summer, or do you think with what you're saying on inventories for material not next year would be better? Or for materials? Okay. Oh, you're asking, okay, if materials would be a good time, if purchasing materials this summer would be a good time for building a home. If it's a home to live in, I guess then, I guess, I don't know. I mean, if you're just looking to time the market, like if it's something that you're looking to have for sale, like you're going to sell it and you want to time the best timing on the market for speculation purposes, I think probably here in the next couple of months you're going to find there's a really good buying opportunity for building materials that is going to be better than exists today. I think the inventory levels are probably, or the inventory supply chain, I should say, is probably going to become a little bit easier to get material through. So that should make material easier to get and cheaper, as far as like you're not going to see the inflation continuing into like the cost of doors and windows and siding and all that other stuff. I mean, with all that being said, yeah, I would think summer would be a better time to build a home than it has been for a while. But if you're thinking like this summer compared to next summer, I mean, who knows what the Fed is going to do when the stuff really starts to hit the fan. I mean, we may find where the Fed like completely reverses course, and saying, hey, the supply chain has totally fixed the problem. We don't need to lift interest rates any further. And I would not be surprised to hear something like that happen. But anyway, that's not the case right now. Could be next summer we would have a totally different, scenario that we would be sitting in, totally set of different circumstances. But as of right now, I would think in the next couple of months it's going to be much better to build a house than it has been, from the last year. Continuing on here, there was another one. Thank you so much for the 1999, A Story in a Song. Great name. Thanks for sharing your perspective. You have a unique insight. Thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's something that I was talking with a friend about, and because they went to school and studied for a lot of this stuff, and he says like a lot of the times because you had gone to school you think that you know more than really anybody else out there. And I don't mean like, trying to be like, like in a negative way or anything, but you feel like, you've taken in some knowledge, like stuff that most people don't do. But you were shown the way. Like, shown this is the things that you need to know in order to understand the economy. I didn't do that. Like I was like totally out there like what is this? What is that? And I had to learn for myself. So when it came to like understanding what the Fed funds rate is or overnight lending rates, stuff like that, I mean, I was going through Fed documents. Like I'm at the federalreserve.com reading stuff trying to figure out what it is and how this stuff works and what the repo facility is. I mean, if you go and look at some of my earlier videos, there was one, I think it was titled Things Are Changing or something like that, where I was talking about the repo facility long before anybody even heard of the repo facility. Because the Federal Reserve was talking about wanting to set up a standing repo facility like a year before they did it. And so it was no surprise to me when the standing repo facility eventually became the normal, tool of the Federal Reserve, because they said they wanted it like a year before it happened. All right. Did I see another $10? Thank you, Dr. Detroit. Thank you so much. Dude, just got back from Disney World, been going for 50 years. Talk about shrinkflation. Also, there is barely any merchandise in the park or workers. It's super noticeable. Weird for Disney. Yeah, that is weird for Disney because, like, I remember going to Disney and there was, like, people everywhere, like, all kinds of workers constantly they're picking up all the little bits of litter that was around, selling merchandise. There was all kinds of vendors everywhere. That is weird, but that's kind of the case now. It seems to be that way for just about everything. I'm really surprised with the portions now that you get at like restaurants or just in general, like just something really simple, like a little package of like salad costing $7 or something like that. It's like it blows me away when you see some of these prices out there and you're thinking, man, are people just becoming so accepting of the inflation? Like I think really that's what it is. Like it's been so like pounded into them through the mainstream media and just everywhere they look it's this constant inflation, prices are going up, everything's getting more expensive. I find like customers, even like when prices haven't changed on something, like I'll have like some adhesive or something that they're pulling off the shelf that hasn't changed price. It's it's the same price it's been for 5 years. And they throw it down. It's always been expensive, and they look at it and it was just like, man, this inflation's just killing us all. And I'm like, you're just making it up about prices that for anything. Like you're just making it an excuse so that you'll pay for it. That's like, it's like almost like self-justification. Hey, right on. Look at 624 likes. Now there's 1,592 of you. Oh, so rad. I've never had so many people here. All right, that is very cool. Be sure and hit the like button, with the 1,500 people up in here, we should definitely have a lot more likes going on. That is amazing. All right, let's read some of these comments here. No more 89-cent burritos at Taco Bell. Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, why wouldn't you think they could do 89-cent Taco Bell or tacos at Taco Bell? That would be like a reasonable thing, I would think. I mean, it's not like a whole lot of cost or ingredient going in there, and it would certainly bring in people to buy like a $4 pop or something like that. Dude, you nailed it with the title. I work in a pretty large cabinetry shop in Ohio, and we have all these cabinets ready to go. I see taking up whole shop just sitting in inventory. Who is this? Matt, did you happen to build those things with an anticipation that somebody was going to be buying them, or were they like built in from an order, like people ordered those and they just haven't shipped yet. You know, that would be something I would be curious to know. Get woke broke. Okay, here we go. Carlitos reviews. 9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Should investors double down on rentals with the discouraging home buyers? You know, I thought the exact same thing. I would wonder about that. If you have no place to buy, then you have to have a place to live, and that generally means that you're going to end up renting. So, yeah, wouldn't that mean there would be a push for investors to kind of lead towards buying rental properties because people are going to be renting? And if they're not buying, there's going to be a bigger demand for rentals? I mean, I kind of thought that same thing myself. I don't know. Let's see here, Matt. Today, I literally moved cabinets back and forth like 10 times because we're running out of shop floor inventory is all over. Inventory is all over, I see. Let's see here. Steve Stroker, thank you very much for the $20. I appreciate your consistency on your videos from your original videos when you were making videos in the dark to this. Lunch is on me. Well, thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for the $20. I very much appreciate it. That is very kind of you. I did. I remember I would be out like in the dark, making videos. I would hang out with the family during, and go through dinner, and then I'd have a video and I would be out there in the dark making videos. I try to do them a little bit more during the day now because I like posting the videos right after I make them. And so I find time like in the morning or at lunch to make them, or maybe like right after work. But I used to make videos a lot more in the dark. That's true. Thanks. That means you've been here for a while because I haven't done that in a long time. Thank you very much for the $20, Steve. I do appreciate that. Holy moly, 1760. That's amazing. So many people here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Arizona's still 99. I saw an article about that the other day explaining why. I'm not sure what that meant. What's a man? Just a shout out. I'm going to sleep here in Spain, maybe. Tomorrow I'll watch. Have a good day. Well, all right. Thank you very much for coming by and saying hello. I'm here. We can start now. All right. Macro Wave Investing. Thank you very much for being here. Let's see, continuing on. You had a good jump in the subscribers these past 2 weeks. Yeah! Holy moly. I put out that video talking about lumber. Of course, I called the downturn in lumber over the weekend, which gives me kind of like a little bit of a boost ahead of everybody else because everybody else is probably waiting till Monday to see what the market was going to open up like. But I guess I put that video out on Sunday talking about lumber. It's like 140,000 views right now. Oh, gee whiz. Anyway, I've gotten I don't know, 4,000 subscribers in the last 2 weeks or something. It's just been amazing. So thank you to all the new subscribers who have come to the channel. I really appreciate you being here and getting me ever closer to that 100,000 mark. I mean, I thought it was going to take a couple of more months, but at this rate, I mean, who knows? It could happen here in the next few. Whoops, there went my coffee. I just spilled a little. It didn't spill. It just a little bit out the top. It's an old car. We don't care. All right. Oh, more super chats. Thank you very much, Merrick, for the 200. I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry, CZK. Is that from Czech? Oh, the Czech. Nice. Greetings from a night podcast walk. Czechia, is that how you said it? Thank you so much, man. That is very, very cool of you. All these super chats. You guys are just so supportive of the channel. I just can't believe it. Very appreciative. Okay, here, Matt. Yes, we built all these cabinets for our regular customers in anticipation of them wanting them, but all the ship dates just keep getting pushed back. Oh, it's probably because they're not in ready form. A lot of these projects are delayed. This is the problem with the logistical nightmare of trying to build a house. A lot of people are just no, just build a house. It's no big deal, right? But it's a big deal because not everybody is on the team that is going to do the work. I mean, how do I say this? Like, you can be an individual who knows how to do all the work of building a house. You can do the foundation, the framing, the siding, the roof, all the drywall, plumbing, electrical, insulation, do all that other stuff. You could be that person who can do all that stuff. Most likely, you're not going to be that person. There's very few people who do it that way. They subcontract out each one of these little jobs individually. But the problem with it is that there's a logistical issue taking place, is that one little part screws it up, and then everybody has to get set back. And because they have already made promises that they are going to be on other places, other jobs at particular times, if you push back that date saying, hey, I'm sorry, I can't use you on this particular day that we said that we were going to use you on, we need to push you back a couple of weeks, they're like, sorry, you can't do it, because we're not going to be here for you. We're going to be 100 miles away doing something else, and you're going to have to find somebody else to do this job, and you broke the contract, so you're going to have to pay a fine for that too. So there's a lot of issues that come up with this, and that is probably one of the main reasons why you're finding a lot of these homes not getting completed in a more consistent fashion. I mean, there is a lot of homes in the works right now that are not being completed. I mean, it's not like they're stalled. They're just not getting finished. They're not efficiently, is what I should say. They're not getting into completion efficiently. And I'm having a hard time talking today. I don't know if I really, really should be doing the live stream. Oh, let's see here. What's next? Just had a rib and a baked potato dinner for $7.99 here in North Dakota. The good food is still cheap, but bad food is pricey. Life's good in the country, I guess. Yeah, I can imagine. Living in the country is probably always better than living anywhere else. I could see the conveniences of living in a city, but man, like, just the peaceful, quiet, slow, relaxed safety of living in the country, it's nice. All right, thank you very much, Johnny, for the 1999. Living in the Woodlands, Texas, I've noticed the middle class taking a huge hit financially last year. They were refinancing and building pools. Now they're complaining about food, gas, property tax. The middle class is broke. Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the wealth effect too. You have to think, when you have the stock market doing as well as it does, and then all of a sudden you have a downturn, bang, bang, bang. Well, what happened on the way up? People were feeling really good about it. They're watching their stock portfolio, moving up. They have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars that are far beyond what they put into their stock portfolio. Yeah, they feel good about making the purchase. And so, yeah, we can go ahead and buy the pool, or maybe go on vacation, or buy that car, or do whatever, because, look how much wealth we have in our stock portfolio. But then when it moves the other way and it starts going down, all of a sudden they're looking at like the $100,000 that they lost. And now all of a sudden they're tight asses and they don't want to buy anything. Like, all of a sudden, like, they're on government cheese. No, we can't. We're broke as broke can be, even though they're really not in any kind of different position financially. Like, they could still afford it. They never really did take any money out of the stock market or put anything else into it. It was just a number on a screen. But when that number grew, it made them feel good. When a number shrinks, it makes them feel horrible. And that's the problem with the wealth effect, is it works both ways. Wow, I cannot believe there's almost 2,000 people watching right now. That's kind of weird. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It's just incredible. Jaws, you are the best. $9.99. When you quit drinking, what meditation practice did you use? Also, have a great weekend. I am off for mini vacation with the family. Well, Jaws, enjoy your vacation with your family. Um, okay, Jaws, let me tell you, there is one meditation that I have used that works incredibly well for me. I am not the type of person who takes like meditation advice and all the other stuff very well. Like, I'm not good at like therapy kind of things, right? Meditation is really incredibly helpful for somebody who has high anxiety, or if your anxiety is just running to the point where you're having issues like you can't sleep, where you wake up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden you're sitting on the end of your bed because you got 15 different things that you're thinking about. None of them are really important, but they all seem to be spinning at the same time, and it's just driving you crazy. This is the type of things that happen to a lot of us. Now, this is a very odd meditation that I have found, and I got it from another YouTuber out there, Mind Smash. Mind Smash is probably one of my favorite YouTube channels out there. Some great life philosophy videos. A lot of it is based in the realms of like fighting and MMA style boxing. So it's really good stuff. But this meditation, the way it works, it's really simple, and that's the reason why I think I like it so much, is because it's so simple to do. The hardest part about it is getting started in it, because what you have to do is you have to find a word, and the word can't mean anything. It has to be a meaningless word, and it can't remind you of anything else. So, for example, like I like to use words that start with a Z, because there's not a lot of stuff that starts with Z. So I will make up a word that starts with Z or something like that. And so, like, for example, I will go like zegli, zegalak, zalak, right? So zalak, right? I'll pick out zalak. It doesn't remind me of anything else, right? And I always use a different word every time, because if I use the same word, I start thinking about things from that time. But I'll use a different word every time. So, like, for this example, it's going to be zalak. And what I do is I just focus in on that word. I will lay there on my bed and I will just say that word in my mind over and over and over again. And I will envision the word. I will try and like spell the word out in my mind, and I will focus in on just that word, and I will not think of anything else, or I'll try not to. What your brain will do is it's trying to figure out what the hell this word is. And so it'll start going through images and all kinds of like phrases and songs and just whatever, trying to figure out what the hell Zalak is, right? But because it can't figure it out, after about 2 minutes, it gets really wound up, and it's almost like to the point you want to quit, but then it shuts off. It just all of a sudden it just gives up, and it just goes to nothing. And all you think about, and you just keep it, your only job is to just keep thinking of the word, and don't think of anything else. And if you do that, eventually your mind will come to rest. It'll just be at peace, and it'll be quiet, and you can fall asleep. And it works, and it totally works. All right, I hope that helps you out. All right, One Drop, thank you for the $10. How much of lumber cost is tied up in fuel and transportation cost? I feel a lot of it is. It was one of the major reasons why we saw such a rise up above 1,000 per thousand, was because of the distribution breakdown that took place, and a lot of that actually happened up in Canada. A lot of the major issues that takes place with lumber takes place from the British Columbia area. They are major producers, and they are high cost producers. So they are very sensitive. Anything that, caused the input cost to go up, those guys are like sensitive to it right now. Other mills, they can like absorb it a little bit differently, but not the British Columbia producers. They're like very sensitive to it. And so they had some major flooding issues take place up there, which knocked out a bunch of their railing and trucking issues. And that issue within it had distribution from lumber, or had the lumber distribution coming from Canada really stuck. Like it couldn't get into the United States in a reasonable fashion. And that, my opinion, is what really drove the prices a lot higher. So it was a distribution issue that went into it. So whether it's fuel cost or drivers or whatever, yeah, I would feel that is probably the major reason why we're seeing the lumber prices as high as we are right now. And even just from the statements coming from these mills themselves, I mean, they said it, like, we can't get the lumber away from the mill fast enough, and we actually have to curtail development because of that. Like, we have no place to put it. And now if you think about it, that's a lot. It's not the same reason, but it's a lot of the same, like, just a visual, like, looking at it. They have a lot of lumber in the system that's about ready to flood in, right? It's all stuck up at these mills, but the mills curtail development. So there's going to be a shortage right in there where they didn't develop where they or at least slowed down on the development of lumber. So is that kind of the same thing that we're seeing with the inventory levels, like what's coming from China and all these going to Target and Walmart? Like these guys have these high inventory levels. Once that is consumed, there's really not a lot coming in from China right now. So we're gonna have like a shortage taking place right there. So I would keep an eye on lumber. What happens in lumber? I'm telling you guys, it's like you can watch lumber and it tells a story very similar to what's going to happen throughout the rest of the economy. It's just not at the same time. It just takes much longer. All right. So you guys are so generous. Thank you very much, Dominique, for the $2. Or is that €2? Netherlands. What do you guys use in the Netherlands? Kronas or something like that? I can't remember. Thanks for the inside viewing from the Netherlands. I very much appreciate it. Elected clown, expect a circus. Yeah, it could happen. Oh, Matt again. Would love to do an interview with you about manufacturing shops being backed up with inventory. We are anticipating them to order these, but the dates keep getting pushed. Yeah, that would be an interesting interview. I would like to learn a little bit more about what's happening there. A lot of times I can get a lot of information coming from my vendors, but sometimes when you ask them, what's up, a lot of times they don't want to necessarily be entirely truthful. Like they don't want to be like negative. So they will say, "Oh, things are good. Things are great, man. It's awesome out there. Business is good." But it's not really that good. It's like it's kind of bad, but they just want to be positive, so they'll say it's good. So I really do try and pick on my vendors a little bit. And it was just like, "Okay, come on now. Tell me the truth. How is it going out there?" And right now, a lot of them are pretty scared. I mean, a few of them are pretty concerned about how quickly things have slowed down, and we're all feeling it. We're all seeing it. Um, Most don't realize everything is a lie. Yeah. Is this live? Yeah, it's live. It's live. It's happening right now. Okay, let's get down here a little ways to more. I refuse to interact with TV consumer. Yeah, that's good. Your phone is overheating. Yeah, it is. And I moved into the shade here a little bit. The sun had hit the phone there for just a second, but I think the branches of this tree are now covering it, so I think we're okay. Hopefully. Uh-huh. Um, Time to buy someone's used Camaro. Yeah, and it was so funny because I was talking with the guys at work, and I'm like, "Can you guys imagine me in a new Camaro?" And everyone's like, "No," because I've always driven like old cars, like always. Like, I mean, this is what I've driven. And so I was just like, "Yeah, I guess my Camaro would probably be like, mid '70s, primered, stinking of like stale beer and cigarette butts." Yeah. Old big old meats on the back of it, and I'd be tearing the logging roads up, like A-track player in it. That would be like my kind of Camaro. That would really be more suiting to my style. Not that that's what I'm gonna get, although I probably would, but I'm not. I'm gonna go get something better. All right, thank you very much, Fred, for the $10 super chat. Do you think asset prices are going to delate deflate? Okay, deflate massively first, or will there be massive unemployment in the short term? No, I think honestly, I think the Fed is going to attempt to do this in such a way that there is not going to be we are going to have a recession without the unemployment, like the scary like massive unemployment. I don't know how they're going to be able to pull that one off, but we are going to have a slowdown in the economy, less economic activity out there. At the same time, people are going to have available jobs to go to, at least for a little while. And I don't know exactly how that's going to work because, I mean, it really can't. I mean, you have to have some sort of economic activity in order there to be a job. So I think that's probably what they're going to attempt to do. And I mean, in the end, it's not going to work, and everybody's going to end up falling into a position in which that they are going to need like constant subsidies coming in, like a UBI kind of thing, in order just to get people to make purchases. Like there is no economy without somebody making a purchase. Like that's the thing. You got to have transactions. Like it doesn't matter you can print up 100 billion trillion, whatever amount of money. It doesn't matter how much money you print up. If it all sits in a bank and doesn't do anything, then it doesn't matter. It has to be out there doing something. It has to be out there making transactions or trying to, make a purchase or doing some sort of commerce through production of some sort. And if that doesn't take place, then everything collapses. It just slows down and it stops. I mean, and then it collapses because you have to have economic activity taking place. So the only way to really do that, if nobody's really working, like obviously there's going to be people working because some people just can't sit still. So they're going to go out there and do something. But when you have a lot of people not working, or in that fashion, like you think there's not a lot of like transactions taking place, then you have to force it upon them. And that's where the UBI comes in. You give them like this UBI kind of incentive that says, here's like money that you can spend, and then you put a limitation on it that you can't save it. And then you also put limitations on it, like you can't like spend it on alcohol, or you can't spend it on, firearms or something like that. And then you can start directing on like which way this money actually gets spent. So it gives you even like the government's even more control over the economy. Um, that's kind of like, one of the things that I see. But the Fed, I think for the short term, like the next, while until they run into the next crisis, is going to attempt to try and have like a recession era without the unemployment, without the massive unemployment. And it's going to be the weirdest thing ever, but we went through some pretty weird stuff so far. Okay, moving onward. Let's see here. Invested $800 in crypto via Pancake Swap and made 89,000. Taxes killed me. Yeah, taxes will kill you. Love your channel. Get the likes up. Yeah, thank you. Whoa, look at that. 1,148 likes. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. All right. Let's push this guy to 100,000. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Well, thank you very much, the watcher. Yeah, I'm real excited. I mean, I'm getting closer and closer to that 100,000 mark, and man, like, when I hit the first 100 subscribers, I thought, no way. Like, there's 100 people out there who actually care enough to actually hit that subscribe button. And I thought to myself back then, I thought, I'm not going to ask for anybody to subscribe. And I don't think there's ever been a video. I've thanked you guys. I've thanked you guys many times for subscribing to the channel, but I've never said like in a video like, hey, be sure to like and subscribe the video. I've never done that. And the reason why is because I wanted quality. I wanted quality viewers. I wanted quality content. And if you guys truly liked the video, then you would like it. And if you didn't like it, then you would thumbs down the video or not like the video. And I felt that way about the channel with the subscriptions as well. And I figured that if you truly like enjoyed the channel, then you would just subscribe on your own. You didn't need any encouragement from me to do it. And I really feel that I have built a very like quality channel. Like I feel the people who watch this channel truly like being here and enjoy the comment section and the perspective and the sharing of the links. You guys are awesome. I mean, I can't thank you all enough. I really can't. All right, let's move on. Enough with the sentimental stuff, right? Okay. You're the truth and you tell it like it is from the heart. I try to, and that's the other thing. Like I don't have anything to sell you. Not yet anyway. I mean, I'll come up with something at some point. I'll try and sell you something, but I don't have anything to really sell. And so the only thing I really have is to come out here and to be able to, talk about economics and share my thoughts with you guys. And that's what I have to sell. It's just me. And you guys being here and just hanging out, that's the only thing you have to do. There is no money to send me. I mean, you guys do share the super chats and the tips and stuff, and I really appreciate every one of them. Just to let you guys know, I use that money to take my family out for like pizza or ice cream, or I used it to enjoy spending time with my family is what I use that money for, because it was something that I never really was able to do, and you guys have made that huge difference for me. So let's talk about economics. Okay. Literally sold my entire 401k stock asset into cash back in January. Feels good to get out and near the top. Yeah, that's pretty good timing, man. I mean, what are you going to do with it now? Because that's like, now we have to time the market on the way back down, because at some point you got to get back into something. I think for the short term, being in a cash position is just fine. In fact, I've been getting into cash for quite a while, in anticipation of this exact moment. But, now it's just like, where you're going to end up going to is going to be the real question. I have a feeling that, like, things that are going to be like cryptocurrency type of businesses, I feel are probably going to be like the major moves going into the future. I couldn't tell you which one it's going to be, or who to go with, but I feel that, some of these cryptocurrency businesses, or maybe even some of the coins themselves, some of the altcoins, are going to be like the future Amazons of the world. All right, watching from Jamaica, one love. Hey man, right on. Jamaica is an awesome, beautiful place. I loved it. I went to visit Jamaica when I was like, I guess about 14 or so. Loved every minute of it. Just loved the place. Okay. How are the lumber prices today? Well, before I started the video, they were around 690 per thousand. Um, I don't know what they are at this exact moment, but that is a pretty significant down price. Now, to kind of give you an idea, 690 is really not that far off from the 650 per thousand, which was the previous high peak back in, like, I think it was 2018, before the prices had crashed and all the mills went into curtailments and shutdowns and inventory depletions throughout 2019. See, this is the reason why I'm not like so on board with a lot of the inflationary scenarios that a lot of people are saying has taken place. Because when they were pointing at lumber and blaming that on the Fed and the money printing, I was like, nah, that's BS. It came from the 2019 mill curtailment shutdowns, inventory depletions that had taken place, and we reported on that the entire time. So prior to that 2019 like slowdown in lumber, 2018 high was 650 per thousand, and I don't think we're that far away from it. So we're back to like prices that we had seen, years ago. All right, lumber prices are down a bit, but the quality is crap. Well, that is also very dependent upon the mill that you're getting it from, and that's very, that's not true for everybody. There's a lot of grades, there's a lot of places that you can get lumber from, and I have found that you might get a Standard and Better lumber from one mill that is absolutely beautiful stuff, and 6 months later you get it from the same mill and it doesn't look the same anymore. It's a completely different run, and it just happens to be what it is at the time. Now, granted, there is some lumber out there that is complete garbage that lumber yards can pick up for a cheap and sell them as like higher quality lumber. That does take place. But if you're an honest lumber yard, you wouldn't do stuff like that. Wow. Did I get a big super chat in there? $315 right now. My gosh, you guys are so generous. What's going on here? All right. Thank you very much, Rufus, for the $8.99. Just planted some potato seeds. Some potatoes? Yeah. We have some potatoes and onions that we wanted to get into the dirt, but it has been so cold and so nasty weather here in the Pacific Northwest. Everybody is complaining about it, that the gardening this year is just terrible. It's like it's gonna be a tough one. Stay curious. $2. Thank you so much. Search Oya meditation. You will love it. Okay. Oya is spelled Ojaya. Okay, we'll check it out. You need to add your P.O. box to the description so we know where to send stuff. I'll go back to doing that again. I stopped putting like stuff in the description box other than the links in the description. I'm not sure why. But I'll put those things back in there, like the PayPal and the PO box and all the other stuff. If you guys want that stuff in there, I was just kind of waiting. I guess I was waiting for people to request it again to see if they truly wanted it there. But I will. And if you want to, it's P.O. Box 731, Astoria, Oregon 97103. And you can find it over in the About section of my channel. You can find all that stuff over there. Store all the meat you can now, Bobby. Oh, I guess that was directed towards Bobby. Yeah, if I were you, during this time, learn to can. Get canning supplies, get a pressure cooker, get a big pot for canning, like just doing for like, just hot bath canning. That is probably going to be the best skill that you can have going into the future, because it doesn't really matter how much food you have. Like, it's okay if you can stay where you're at, but the moment that you need to bail out and you need to go somewhere, it's going to be more about your skills and what it is that you can do with those skills. And having like a good canning supplies, when you come across food, like somebody's like all of a sudden has 100 pounds of something, how do you deal with that? Like, what do you do to preserve it? And if you know how to can and preserve that food, that is going to be so beneficial to you, because meat can spoil in a matter of no time at all. And if you can't deal with that right away, there's no point in even having it at all. So canning supplies and learning how to can is probably the best thing that you can do, going at least for the next couple of years. It's going to be tough. The food shortage coming is going to get very expensive for people. If you are not prepared to spend a lot of money on food, then spend some money on canning supplies and learning to can. Tony Hawk watches this. Does he really? Man, Tony Hawk has been like my hero since I was like 10 years old. I used to skate a lot when I was younger. And yeah, Tony Hawk was always my hero. All right. Axel Fuzz, thank you very much for the $9.99. I'm 25 and I feel like I haven't done enough with my life. I didn't finish college because I hated it. I have so many ideas, but I'm lost at the same time. At least I own a whole Bitcoin. Any tips? Alex, okay, well, hold on, man. You got something already that most people don't have. You got ideas, man. Right? And that's the important part. You have to have a worthy goal or idea. And if you have a worthy goal or idea, man, you've got something better than most people have. Because most people have talents, they have skills, they have this passion within them, but they don't have any idea on how to deal with it. And you got this idea. So now what you have to do is you have to figure out what it is that you need to do to pursue that goal and that idea. And if it's a worthy goal and idea, then you will find that way. Put it in your head. Put positive thoughts in your head. Put it in your mind that you are going to achieve these ideas, that you are going to pursue those things. It doesn't matter if you went to college, right? I didn't go to college either. I don't have a degree. I can hardly speak English properly. I don't read very well, but yet I'm out here doing this on YouTube, right? I'm not in fear of like some sort of failure out there. Failure wasn't a concern of mine. So the idea of coming out here and having a conversation, that was my idea, and it's working for me. The goal, I don't know what the goal is. The goal was to achieve this sort of level. I need to find my own goal. Thank you for even bringing it up, because that's something that I need to do. And I'm really pushing towards that book idea. So that's my idea. That's my worthy goal, is to try and get this book done. So if you have an idea, man, you already got the start. You just need to pursue that thing with with some true meaning, and if it's a worthy goal and a worthy idea, it'll turn into something magnificent for you. It'll change your entire life. I hope that helps. Thank you very much, Thomas Edwards, for the $5. Do you have a timeline for bottom for lumber, durable goods prices? Trying to assess a good time to start renovation for the new small business. If you really want to do well, somebody else kind of asked a similar question earlier, and if you really want to do well timing the lumber market, I suggest like having a place to store it. Like if you have a shop or a big garage or some place that you can store a lot of this material, then you might be able to like dollar cost average at times. Like say you need a unit of plywood, you need 60 sheets of plywood to do your job, and you want to time the market. Well, I know plywood's going to come down a little bit here at some point. Like I couldn't tell you how much or how far out it's going to happen, but it's going to take place. So let's say like right now I sell plywood at $46 a sheet. Let's say it drops down to $38 a sheet. Maybe pick up 10, 15 sheets, 20 sheets. Say it drops down another $10. It gets all the way down to $28 a sheet. Well, maybe pick up another 15, 20 sheets then. Maybe even 30 sheets. And dollar cost average in that way. That's probably going to be the best way to time your market. If you're, other than that, then you're going to have to sit there every single day watching, and the moment that it gets to your like your goal price, like I want to see it hit $28 a sheet for plywood, and that's going to be my goal. Well, what if it only gets to 29.50? And it never gets there? Then you never had any plywood, you didn't get it at any price, and now you're probably going to miss out on the bottom or something. So if it was like trying to get the best price on material, that's the way I would do it. But then I dollar cost average onto everything. Like there is nothing I buy in any kind of big bulk purchase. Nothing. Except for my damn house. But anyway, other than that, almost everything I buy in small quantities. The silver, the cryptos, even stocks. I mean, I buy through Cash App. I buy stocks, and I usually only do it like $50, $100 at a time. So, all right, moving onward. So many of you up in the super chat or up in the chat room here. 1734 of you guys. So amazing. I've never thought I would have so many people watching at once. There's the next one. Okay, Eric, thank you so much for the 1999. Having our third baby this summer, I have anticipated taking the max family allowed in the state of California. However, I feel like opportunities will pass me up in the company I'm at if I do take 3 months off. Oh, I see, for the family leave. Okay. Should I feel that way? I feel like the opportunities will pass me up if in the company if I do that. Well, I mean, I guess you have to feel what's right for you. Like, what is it that's going on inside of like, your life that says that I need to be more with my family than I do with my career. I've taken that road before. I found that like if you don't have the funds, like the money to take care of your family, that becomes very difficult. And it also becomes very stressful on everybody in the family. So you do have to put some sort of balance in there that you have enough of a career and a successful career to take care of your family with it, but then you also have to be able to take care of your family. So if you dedicate everything to your career and not balance out anything by being with your family, then you will lose your family too. So, but you'll have this awesome career from it, but you will lose your family over it. So that kind of defeats the purpose. So I don't know. You're gonna have to, ask that question for yourself on it. I don't think you should feel bad about anything that you do, no matter what it is. Like, never feel bad about the decision that you make, especially like, I feel bad that this other person's feelings got hurt. I mean, it's so. I mean, it's one thing to like, make fun of them or something like that, and their feelings got hurt. But it's another thing to say, hey, I'm gonna have to move on from what I'm doing, and if your feelings get hurt from that, so bad. That's too bad for you. But if the company is a worthy company and you're a worthy employee, then your opportunities aren't going to be limited. So, don't stress that part. All right, moving on. What was the point of colonializing the U.S. if we are going to depend on other countries for resources? I don't think it was necessarily like a plan to depend on other countries for resources. I think it's just more of like I said, I think it's more of like just the a systematic thing. I think it's more of like the Cantillon effect. As we became a production nation and we started exporting everything to other nations, bringing in ever increasing amounts of money into our nation, our cost of living or our standard of living really increased. We enjoyed a lot more of our luxuries here. We started demanding more foreign imports. That drove out our domestic manufacturing. Eventually, we started becoming more reliant on foreign imports for our luxuries. And now we're sitting in a position in which that all natural resources and all things that are produced around the world get shipped to the United States because ultimately they want our dollars. Dang it, I said ultimately. But that's what they want. They want our dollars. And that's the easiest way to get it, is to sell us stuff. You know, a lot of people don't believe in the dollar being like the world reserve currency. They think that that's going to fail like here in the next year or two. And that's not going to happen. Like, the dollar is not going to fall from the world reserve currency anytime soon. Like, it will eventually. It's going to go. But until, like, until there's either, like, another nation that's willing to take on a debt market as big as the United States has, and take on a deficit trading as much as the United States has, then I just don't see where any other nation is going to be able to supply the world with the currency. It's just not going to happen. At some point, the dollar will fail, and some other nation will pick up that place. But it may not even be another nation. It may be like the World Bank, like the IMF or something like that. And it could be like a digital SDR or something that everybody uses. I mean, who knows? It's very very up in the air at this point. Like, nobody knows what could happen. Can we talk about lumber tariffs? Well, I mean, we can. Lumber tariffs is something that has really been like a constant. I mean, when I started looking at lumber tariffs from the United States and Canada, it goes back like a long time. Like, it goes back like 30, 40 years or even more if I read it right. And the whole idea of putting these tariffs on these Canadian imports is because the United States accuses Canada of like unfairly subsidizing this lumber and dumping it into the United States, like dumping cheap lumber into the United States. And so the United States hits them with these tariffs. But what do we have here in the United States? We end up with a whole bunch of expensive lumber, and now you can't build houses as cheaply. So it doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense to me when I see these tariffs kicking in. Now, I do understand like the idea behind the tariffs, but I don't get the end result from it, because they never seem to really do what they say they're going to do. Like, it's supposed to like benefit our domestic manufacturers here, but our domestic manufacturers are not producing enough lumber to supply us. So we would need cheap lumber here in the United States. That would be a benefit to us. But no, we don't allow that. So I think it's probably a little bit more obscure than that. I think there's probably things that are hidden behind the scenes. And I think it's probably some sort of like lobbyists behind there that are making these tariffs more existence. I mean, keeping them in existence is what I should say. Man, how long have I been out here? A little over an hour. You guys are awesome. Let's see, down to 1,500 of you. Well, there's still a lot of you out here. Not quite to the 2,000 we once saw there for a moment. That was really cool. All right, down here, Joe Sharp, $20. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Let's talk about lumber tariffs. We just talked about lumber tariffs. Okay. Let's see. Jazz Laley, thank you for the $10. No questions, huh? Let's see here. They're starting to change the gas pumps to handle 3 digits. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, yeah, I can imagine like a lot of these gas hog vehicles over the next year, like in a year or two. I can imagine a lot of these like big gas guzzlers are really going to come down in price. I could see where people are just going to be like, man, I want shed of this thing. We can't drive it anywhere without spending like $100, so I don't even want it anymore. And I can imagine that would happen. When is the Economic Ninja cameo? Yeah, we should have Economic Ninja on. That would be great. LT, wow, thank you for the $99.99, $100, man. You are awesome. Third-time listener, better information than consultants. Bravo. Keep it up and stay real. So refreshing. If you need help understanding the economics of Bitcoin, holler. Now go get the family some pizza. Man, that is so generous of you, dude. Thank you so much. Very kind. Let's see here. Real estate game over. Gold and silver behaving as they should. Yeah, if there was any place that I would feel very comfortable in being right now, it is certainly in gold and silver and cash. Those are like my positions to be in. And going into the future, we're going to find where, like, there's going to come a moment where the world's going to start panicking. Pan- they're going to get into a panic on where they need to position themselves. And most of the time, they go to the United States. Like the United States is the safe haven asset. And so they're going to flock into United States stock market, the bond market, everything that has to do with United States, you know, safety. I mean, that's where they're going to go. But there's been so much talk about the dollar destruction and the inflation and how the dollar is going to lose the world reserve currency status that a lot of people actually believe that stuff, and so they're concerned about even going into the dollar now. So there really has no, they have no other place to go to except for precious metals, gold and silver. Those are like the safest place to go, to position yourself. I do find where like things like art, like fine art, would be a safe place to go to, except that you really have to know what you're doing when it comes to that kind of asset. Like you really have to know who it is that you can sell this stuff to if you ever need to like liquidate some of it. There's probably a very limited market out there. If you're buying like silver, you're going to have plenty of places that you can go to that you can unload that silver at. You can find pawn shops and coin dealers. You can even take it from just bar to bar, and just ask people sitting at the bar if they would buy, bullion off you. So there's a lot of places that you can liquidate silver from. So in my personal opinion, when it comes to finding a safe place to store your cash, like you don't want to hold cash, then silver bullion is definitely the place you would want to be. Uh, Moving on. Man, there's so many comments in here. This is crazy. I may buy a freezer and half a cow. It's much cheaper that way. It really is. If you buy like, especially if you go in on a whole animal with somebody, you can really get meat a lot cheaper. And then if you're willing to butcher it yourself, then man, you can really save a lot of money that way. I've used I've raised animals before and then used like a mobile butcher. We have one here called Matt's Custom Meats, and it was amazing. He came out and did a hog for us, and I videoed the whole process. And from the time he pulled out he walked across the field with a 22 rifle, and from the time he pulled the trigger on that 22 rifle to the time he said, "Okay, see you guys later," that when he was done, like I mean, he skinned it, gutted it, did everything, and had it hanging in his truck. It took 11 minutes. I was just amazed. I've never seen anything go so fast. He is such a professional at it. All right. Oh, another super chat. Thank you so much. Cabragoon? Cabulas? Sorry if I butchered your name. Let's see, $1.99. Thank you. Are people booking vacations versus materials? Um, I'm guessing that's probably what it is. I think a lot of people are just no longer real excited about doing anything at home. They want to go off and just enjoy anything that's not at home. And that's really where the money is going to get spent. So you're going to see more people at restaurants, going to concerts. And then because money is going to be tight, it's going to be more things like just going out to like the beach or going on hikes and stuff like that. That's probably where you're going to find a lot more activity happening. And so things that are included in stuff like that, you're going to find people are probably not going to be so excited about all the TVs that are going to go on sale and stuff. Let's see. Do you think Apple will trade down to 115? Couldn't tell you. I'm not much of a stock kind of follower or stock picker or even investor in general. I'm more of like a saver, and I just kind of follow macroeconomics, follow Fed policy, monetary policy, see what those guys are up to. But as far as like investing itself, I've never really been much of a big time investor. I did pretty well when I chose Altria. That was one of the stock picks that I had chosen for my portfolio. That one's done really well. That's Marlboro cigarettes and Anheuser-Busch. I don't drink or smoke, but I do know a little bit about addiction. So, that was the game I played. I saw that the stock price had dropped pretty significantly, so I started dollar cost averaging into it. Even with all the downward, movement in the stock market, I think that particular section, that particular stock in my portfolio was up like, I don't know. Well, yesterday, I guess it was up 18% still. It was much higher at one point, but it's still doing quite well. The overall portfolio is down, but you know, but that particular section did well. So I can pick them out every once in a while. I do okay. It's very rare. I feel like I missed some super chats. I'm sorry if I missed a super chat, guys. All right, Brandon, thank you very much for the $4.99. Hey, UE, I'm new to macro. I understand the U.S. sends oil, gas overseas. If that's true, can the U.S. stop and use it domestically for relief at home? Thanks. Well, yeah, ultimately, you can stop anything from happening. I mean, there's a lot of nations right now who are stopping. Like, we'll take India, for example. They stopped the exporting of wheat on concerns that the heat wave is destroying their wheat crops and they won't have enough for their own domestic use. So yeah, you can do anything you want. Um, do they really want to? I mean, I guess it would be the question behind it all. Sometimes I question whether or not the United States really does want a relief to the price of oil. And is it, again, like, much like the lumber prices out there, is it a coordinated effort to keep the prices elevated? I mean, I don't necessarily think that's like a coordinated effort to make it happen, but certainly taking advantage of the situation and doing your best to keep that advantage. I can see stuff like that happening more. Um, so. Anyway, what was it? Let's see. What was the question again? I understand the U.S. sends oil and gas overseas. If that's true, can the U.S. stop it domestically? Yeah, so they could. I mean, but whether or not they will or not is I mean, I guess that's still debatable. I mean, in the end, I think the United States is probably more in line with trying to get world commerce moving. Like, they would want the global supply chain to get back into action again because we import everything. So if you're like a net importer of everything, yeah, you'd want to get things moving again, in my opinion. So exporting gas, if you can make it cheaper for the world, then that would be better for them, right? So because then there would be more stuff coming to you. I don't know. I'm just trying to kind of think about the question a little bit. Anyway, let's move on. So many questions in here. My goodness. All right. Yes, student loans have reached like $7 trillion. Yeah, I can see that. Gen X Gen, thank you so much for the $5. Thoughts? Revolts coming? Um, okay. This is where you find, because nations revolt. Nations will flip out and destroy their capitals and run their politicians off. It happens. It happens, right? It happens all over the world. And to think of it happening here in the United States is a very unlikely scenario, in my opinion. Um, Only because it's probably going to happen worldwide in such a way that they will probably lock things down before it ever happens. But that's my opinion on it. I think it will be well noticed ahead of time. The major problem is going to be is the food shortages. And when a nation, or when the society, when the people spend 50% of their money on food, when their income, when 50% of their hard work, their income goes to purchasing food, they flip out and they will riot. And they will lose their shit. So that is probably where you're going to be most concerned about. If there's going to be a revolt, it's going to be at the peak of the food shortages, when the food gets most expensive and the people have to spend 50% of their income on food. They will lose it. They will lose their shit right then. And who knows what will come from that. I mean, it could get quite ugly. I honestly think that they will probably do something to stop that from happening before it gets there, because the rest of the world will have already experienced such a dramatic shift into things like that that they will be very well prepared for it to happen here. All right. Jason, thank you so much for the $5. Love the show. What will you put your money in during a recession? I probably am. I, I'm probably going to move towards land. I'm probably going to move towards land or property, real estate. That it would be my guess if I am in a position in which that I can do that. Um, I don't know if I will be able to, like, but that would be like, if I could, that's what I would probably do. Other than that, then I am probably going to seek out like some really well established companies that I feel are probably going to do well going into the future, and try and do some play into the stock market during the recession. I feel that there's going to be cryptocurrency companies that are going to do extremely well, and I couldn't tell you which ones. I have no idea, but I feel that there's probably going to be something inside of the cryptocurrency business game. Whether, I don't know, I mean, some altcoins are probably going to do well, but I think there's going to be businesses that you can invest in themselves that are going to do quite well. Something like maybe Coinbase might do really well, but that's just a guess. I invested some money in Coinbase, they just went down. That's why I don't give out investment advice. I don't tell about, a lot of the investments that I do, because they always go down when I buy them. So, I don't let you know most of them. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Will the economy slow down enough such that the Fed needs to do less? Um, well, if the economy slows down, do less, like, okay, so when you mean do less, like less restricting, is that like, I mean, because like less effort or less stimulus, is that kind of, I mean, if the economy slows down, you have to think, if the economy slows and there's less transactions, that's a less economic activity happening out there, you're going to see the inflation come out of that. If that is stuck, like you cannot get people back into spending and you start going into a deflationary spiral, then the Fed is going to have to reverse course and they're going to have to go back into stimulus again. And it's going to be very difficult to stimulate the economy, considering that they're like, they have barely lifted off of zero from their Fed funds rate. So that little move, as far as dropping the Fed funds, is not going to be a very effective like amount of interest rate dropping to stimulate the economy. So the Fed has to move. They have to get the interest rates up a lot higher if they want to have an effective tool. If they don't do that, then it would have to go into negative interest rates with like helicopter money, UBI kind of scenario, and that's going to be very difficult to try and bring in on the people. Like, how do you introduce this to the people? How do you even allow UBI to take place without government like spending? You have to say, okay, we're going to have this bill that we go into debt by however many hundreds of billions of dollars every single month, so that we can just literally hand cash to people through a UBI type system. Like, how well is that going to go over on taxpayers? They're not going to be happy with that at all. So they have to come up with a system that the people are going to be accepting of it. And it's going to be like modern monetary theory kind of stuff, where you can print up as much money as you want, do as much deficit spending as you want, because deficits don't really matter, and you can just tax people on the other end of it, however that's supposed to work, and nobody needs to work, and somehow production gets done. I don't get it, but that's what you would have to do. And once they show me an example of how that works, then we'll talk about it then. But until then, it's just a theory, and I don't think it'll work. So until then, it's going to be a lot of pain, and they're even talking about pain and how much pain the people are going to have to feel. Okay, moving on. Let's see here. Stagflation is here but hidden. That's right, it is here and it is hidden. And once you start seeing it, and time, hindsight's always 2020. We can look back and say like this is the reasons for all these different things that happened, you know, but at the time or like going into the future, it's very obscure. And so like as we're trying to see the future, you got to understand the Federal Reserve is like looking in the rearview mirror, right? This is literally how everybody else thinks that they're looking through the windshield. The Fed is looking in the rearview mirror at everything that just happened, and they're trying to steer this way. You know, it's a very strange concept. Stagflation, unemployment is hidden in the data. We lost many jobs during the Great Resignation. Normally, we would see layoffs, but now it's hidden. Corporations cannot lay off people who aren't there. That's true. You really can't. I mean, I guess the equivalent, instead of like during a recession when you would see layoffs, I guess the equivalent today would be job openings disappearing, right? That would be the equivalent of the layoffs is like instead of having these job openings, you just don't have them anymore. And you get to a point where like everybody has a job and nobody needs one anymore. I still am like, how it is that we are able to, for the next couple of years, pull off a soft landing is not. I don't see that happening. It's going to be very painful, and that's where like I don't think a lot of people are quite prepared for it. If you are not like as much out of debt as you can possibly get out of your credit card debts, get out of that useless, unproductive debt if you can. Like, you know, if it's really low interest debt, then it's probably not as bad. But still, just having anything that's a liability is going to be hard over the next couple of years. Liabilities are going to be a very heavy burden on a lot of people. Saudi Arabia is selling oil for yuan, Russia for rubles. Other countries are started doing the same. Yeah, I agree. And that is happening. And Russia is in a situation in which that nobody wants to do business with them. And if you're over there going, yeah, you don't want to do business with me? Well, you know what? If you want my oil, you're going to have to do it in rubles. What do you think about that? So you want my oil? Guess what? You're buying rubles. And that's what they do. So because they want Russian oil. So that puts like this false strength to the ruble. It's not real. Like the people really wouldn't want to do the deal in rubles. They would rather do it in US dollars. But because Russia's all pissed off about it and needs strength to their currency, and they're wanting to give the finger to the United States anyway, they're forcing people to use ruble. Right? And the same thing with China. They don't, if they're going to do deals outside of the United States because the United States keeps pushing their sanctions and stuff, like China's like, you think you're tough? You ain't even nearly as tough as we are. Right? And China can do just about anything they want as well. And if they want to do deals in oil, it doesn't surprise me. The only problem with it is, I could see yuan. I could see where a nation may want to hold yuan because you can buy a bunch of crap from China. So like if you're a nation and you're holding yuan, that's okay. Like, you could buy, Chinese stuff with it. But if you are a nation and you're holding rubles, what the hell are you going to buy from anyone anywhere else in the entire world except for Russia? You might find a country who wants to buy some energy from Russia and you can buy something from them. But for the most part, you're not going to find anybody else in the world who gives any care about the ruble or the yuan for that matter of holding it. It just keeps getting weaker to the dollar. Everybody would rather hold dollars. And I know there's a lot of talk out there about the dollar demise, it's going to go away, it will not be the world reserve currency. I get it. I understand that. I totally agree with it that at some point that is the truth and you will see that be the case. But it's not happening soon. And that's in order for the dollar to go away, the dollar is such a dominant currency around the world. There is contracts that have been written in dollars that get used as if they're dollars. These are it's a shadow currency out there. It doesn't have anything to do with the United States. It doesn't have anything to do with our government. It doesn't have anything to do with our corporations. It is a private entity outside of the United States that has written a debt in US dollars, and then it gets used as if it's US dollars. When that debt needs to get paid off, they have to acquire those dollars first. That adds strength to the dollar that nobody knew even existed out there. It was a shadow thing taking place. And so it creates the strength of the dollar in order to get out of that contract. Once that contract has been eliminated, that is shadow currency being eliminated out of the system. That is less currency in the system. That adds even more strength to the dollar. So in order to get out of the dollar has to grow incredibly strong in order for it to take place. Once it does, then it will fail when people quit using it altogether. But until that happens, we are on a road to either incredible dollar strength or some serious Federal Reserve monetary printing. It's one of the two. Right? All right, moving on. He just hella real. You have to respect it. Well, thank you, man. I mean, again, I don't have anything to sell you, so it's like whatever it is that I'm out here saying, I'm saying truthfully from inside, man. This is not made up. Like, I'm not, and again, like, this information that I put out here, this is for you to use in conjunction with all the rest of the stuff that you guys study out there. I mean, there's a lot of really good YouTubers out there who put out some incredibly good information. I have backed away from watching a lot of the other YouTubers out there, although I've been getting back into George Gammon lately. But I backed off on a lot of these YouTubers out there simply because I did not want to be like parroting these other guys. I didn't want to be mimicking what it is that they're saying, because I found a lot of times as I was doing my research and I was following a handful of people, I started sounding a lot like them. I started using their phrases and their words and their ideas, and I thought, man, is this really you? Do you believe this? Is this truly your thoughts? And so I had to back away from it. I said, okay, stop watching these guys and see if you can come up with your own ideas. And it seemed to have worked out for me. A lot of times I'm way out there. Like, I go way out on a limb, different from like what a lot of other people are saying out there. But I'm not making it up. It's what I feel is happening from the research that I have done. And when you use that research in conjunction with what you have done, you should be able to find, like, the correct path for yourself. Everybody has a different, everybody has to navigate this thing differently. Nobody's in the same position. Let's see here. I'm newly vegan this year. I'm 195 pounds down from 235, and it was effortless to lose the weight. Well, hey, man, that is really awesome to have such a weight loss going vegan. I had gone vegan a couple of times. Tried to cut all meat out of my diet for a while. It was okay. Like, I definitely felt kind of, I don't know if necessarily feel like energetic, but a lot of times, like, after eating those heavy meals with, like, a big ribeye or something like that, like, I would feel like tired, sluggish from it. And the vegan diet, I didn't really feel that way. But I always felt kind of hungry. Like, I never really got enough. Like, always felt like I was needing more. So, I'm not big into, like, going straight vegan diet, but, like, I enjoy vegan meals. Like, if somebody's like, hey, we have this vegan meal going on, I'm all about it. I'll eat that. That's cool. All right, what else we got here? Current food supply is lacking essential vitamins and minerals of the past. Yeah, I've heard other people say that, just, by the way that, the farming is done nowadays, that the food's nutrients is just simply not there. In that, like, I noticed it, excuse me, guys. I noticed it when I was raising chickens, in that when you would raise your own birds at home, the quality of meat was not only better, but you felt satisfied when you ate it. Like, you felt full. And when you ate the store-bought chicken, it felt like you couldn't get, like, you could almost eat the whole bird and you still weren't satisfied from it. So there's definitely a quality of, like, nutrients and like, fullness to it. You're just not getting as much. Even though you're eating it, you might consume a lot. You're not getting nearly as much as you need from the store-bought food, as much as you can from, like, the home organic farming, local growing that you can. What did I say? Small batch. That's what I should say. Okay, moving on. So many comments. My goodness. Okay. Pulse chain scam just being pumped by numerous VCs. I personally know a guy who put in 100K. I'm not sure about that one. This is not a depression, it's suicide. Um, I don't think so. I think the United States will probably come out of this somewhat. I mean, I don't think the United States itself was going to come out of it okay, but I think a lot of people within the United States, like once they recognize the issue, the United States is a very industrious people. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to suffer from the poverty of it, but there's going to be a great number of people when we hit the bottom of that are going to do incredibly well. There is an entrepreneur mindset in this country that really drives people into some really good things. So when that time does hit and it's going to look very tragic at the time, there's going to be a bunch of opportunity out there for people to really excel from. So yeah, it's going to be bad, but you have to try, right? We'll figure it out. Thank you very much, Javier. Thanks for your work. Thank you very much for the $5. Very cool of you, man. Let's see here. Lots of ways to make money. Find your avenue and follow it. Don't buy into the negativity or into the negative. Yeah, absolutely. There is so many ways to make money in this world, and there's never been a time that I could find. The police are watching me right now. It's okay, guys. I'm just making my video. There's never been a time that I have found where money can be made as easily as it can be right now. I mean, when you think about like just something as simple as just having a YouTube channel or TikTok or being able to do affiliate sales, or like my buddy who flipped items like from just on Craigslist. He would find things on Craigslist that were, he'd make like 100 offers on valuable things for cheap and then flip them later and make money that way. He said back in the day he used to have to use like classified ads and stuff, and it was a real pain. He says nowadays it's super easy. So like the availability to make money right now is so easy out there. I don't know why more people don't do it. Um, Gig economies and Uber driving and stuff like that. Like I even found, like I asked a bunch of people about this one. It's called, it's an app called TaskRabbit. I don't know, a lot of people might have heard of it. But, there's people like, especially in my area where you have like a pretty big retirement community getting built. And, somebody who's like, 70, 80 years old, they can't get around as well. They're scared to like even replace the battery in a smoke detector. So like there's a lot of like small jobs that you can make a few dollars with just spending 10 minutes at their house doing. Or what was another section in that, putting IKEA furniture together. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can make money nowadays, and why people don't do it is just, I don't know, I just don't get it. All right. Will the Fed change from jawbone to strategy? Yes, they will. They will do that. But it will come at a moment where they don't need you to move in a direction ahead of them. Like they would rather you move after they tell you. And so like for the longest time, like from the 80s up until like a little bit after Greenspan, I guess, the Federal Reserve hardly said anything. And when they did, it was so damn confusing, nobody understood what they said anyway. And they pretty much operated somewhat in secrecy, like not necessarily secrecy, but they weren't like really big in the, hey, media and everybody else and anybody else who will listen, we're going to do this here in a month and we're going to do that and we're going to like, they never did that kind of stuff before. So at some point, yeah, that strategy won't work for them anymore, and they're going to go back into secrecy again. And it'll be like people will have to like debate on what the Fed is going to do, and they'll question what it is that their statement's going to be about. Nowadays, they almost already know. It's like, yeah, to no surprise, the Fed said, Anyway, moving on here. Oh, so many questions. I can't believe it, guys. All right. Can't declare bankruptcy on student loans. No. And they're not going to write them off either. And that, I don't know why. I guess probably the reason why they keep dangling that we're going to write these things off carrot out there is to make sure that people continue to take out student loan debt. Like, if they give the people at least some sort of like hope that they won't be burdened by this debt for the rest of their life, like they can give them like this little bit of glimmer of hope that it won't happen, then it might keep them going into student debt. Like, they'll keep them taking out that debt. But they can't write it off. They will never be able to write this thing off. And we've explained this before. Student loans have been packaged into something called SLABs, student loan asset-backed securities. And these student loan asset-backed securities, they make up like 50% of the federal government's, the United States government's balance sheet, the financial portion of it. So they got this balance sheet, right? You got your assets, you got your liabilities. Over on the asset side of their balance sheet, the financial portion. So they got a bunch of assets, then they got down to the financial portion, which is just a section of it. That financial portion, that's like all the debt that they own, all the bonds, all the the financial assets that they have. Of that, 50% of those financial assets is made up of student loan asset-backed securities. So that's like half of the financial portion of the balance sheet. If they were to write those things off, the damage that would do to the balance sheet is so significant that it would cause the credit rating of the United States to plummet. They won't do it. Like, they simply would not do it. So anybody who's like got this idea or this promise that they'll write off the student loan debt, they can't. I mean, and now the only way they could do it is if somebody literally went in there and bought those student loans, like said, okay, we're like a charity or something, and we've like got all this money and we don't care what happens to it, so we're going to go ahead and buy these student loans, and there they are, they're gone, forget about it. Right? That would be the only way that it could really go down. Until that happens, it's an illusion. It won't. Moving on. 1,800 likes. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are just so awesome today. And just incredibly generous with the super chats. And so many questions. I can't even get through all these. Am I blocked? Why would you be blocked? The only time you'll ever be blocked by me is if you're trying to scam, like with some, trading platform or trading person or whatever, like go check out their trading site. I will block those. I will block, and I haven't done it in a while because I haven't seen them, but I will block like hateful messages. Like if you're being straight up hateful, then I will block those too. But other than that, no, you can say pretty much whatever you want. All right, thank you, John, for the $1.99. Grab yourself BTC at 20K. I will definitely, I figured I'd probably start dollar cost averaging again, because I stopped buying at about 6 months ago. I told you guys this. I've been trying to get back into my cash position, trying to build up my emergency fund. So I have not been making any purchases. I did do a little bit of silver. I made a couple of silver purchases, but that's it. But I've been trying to get into the cash position. I figure once Bitcoin, if it gets down to 25,000, I'm probably going to start $50 a week again. And if it goes down, it doesn't matter. I'm dollar cost averaging anyway. But I would probably move back in at that point. Right now, I'm still leaning towards a cash position. I feel that people are probably going to do that for a while. Cash is going to be king. They're going to get out of gold. They're going to get out of stocks. They're going to get out of real estate. They're going to get out of everything they can, and they're going to get into cash. And then who knows what happens after that. I think a lot of what the Federal Reserve does is going to be based on the supply chain and inventory levels of these stores and homes. All that stuff, there's going to be a big difference here in about 6 months to a year. And what people are thinking the Fed is going to be doing is not going to be the same. But we'll find out more then. And who knows? There's all kinds of events that could change that. War could escalate. Some other, the pandemic could flare up again, and, countries go back into lockdown. I don't see that happening. I think China did it just for the simple fact of, they wanted to kind of slow down on their manufacturing for inflation purposes. And exporting purposes. We've talked about that one in the past, but they're the only country that I see that are going to be locked down. I don't see where other countries are going to. I mean, some other might do some forms of it, but not in the sense that China did. Once they're done with this lockdown, I really see that the whole COVID thing is probably going to pretty much disappear. There's going to be some diehards out there that continue to talk about it and, pushing for vaccinations and boosters and stuff like that. But for the most part, the usefulness of the COVID pandemic is now done. So it really doesn't make any sense to keep pushing anything there. All right, moving on. Okay. Mexico is only a 2-hour drive south. Well, not from here. It's a little bit farther from me. Let's see here. The dollar will change. Yeah, it will. But then again, it won't be the dollar anymore after that. OnlyFans is life on easy mode. Yeah, I don't know. OnlyFans seems alright, I guess. OnlyFans is a dollar store loan. OnlyFans. I'm 100% sure that the Fed watches your YouTube videos. I'm pretty sure that they do too. They used to use the word, I think they're very leery with using the word credible. And if you ever hear them use the word credible threat, you know that they're watching my channel. All right. Let's see here. Listen closely, everyone. Can you hear the first angel sounding his trumpet? I've been wanting to read on that at Bang. I don't know what that is. Ribeye, please. Yeah, I'll take the ribeye too. I love them things. Somebody pulling up alongside of me here. Sent you a super chat. Thank you, John. Yeah, I think I saw that. All right, I think we will be better than other countries. We will absolutely do better than other countries. But only until we're not. I mean, in the end, like, as the rest of the world is going into like some serious pain and suffering, the United States is going to be like, sorry, I know you guys took all that debt out in the United States dollars and you owe in dollars, and we're taking the dollars out of the system, which is making it really difficult on you. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's pretty painful. It's going to continue for a little while. Once that's over, then it's going to be painful for us. All right, let's laugh out loud. The U.S. is industrious. Is that why industry is non-existent and cratering? No. The reason is because the United States and the people within the United States absolutely love luxuries. And so they keep buying foreign imports because that's the cheapest way to get access to luxuries. And the more we try to find these luxurious items, the more we drive ourselves into less production and more chances of poverty. So we're doing it to ourselves. And if you need to read about it, just read Cantillon's essay on economic theory that he wrote back in the 1700s. It's chapter 8, further thoughts on the increase and decrease of money to a state. That's the title of the chapter. So read that chapter, it explains it all. Fake meat. Yeah. Have you ever had one of those Impossible burgers? Man, I tried one of those. They're all right. Yeah. I don't know if, like, there ain't no big deal about them. I don't know why anybody would, like, make a big deal out of them. They were just, like, okay, I guess. Let's see here. Big Brother is watching him. I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, people are like, man, what happens if the FBI or the IRS or Big Brother or somebody, it's just like, I don't care. Like, I really don't. I am pretty much like, I don't do anything that would ever get me arrested. Like, I mean, ever. So I'm not worried about, like, getting caught doing something because I don't do anything. So there's no worries there. And all my communications that I do with my wife, I do in encrypted messaging service. I use Telegram and I do encrypted messaging. I am not worried about anybody out there finding my stuff because the things that I am truly wanting to be secure I secure them with encryption. And now when it comes to like the services that I use, like my phone, I understand that it's a private service that I am using, that I am paying somebody to use. There is no sense of like security or privacy or anything else when you're paying somebody for this service, unless you straight up tell them, I'm paying you for the security of the service. But for the most part, most people are volunteering all their information away when they say, yes, I agree, I accept. Every app that you download, you are agreeing for them to go ahead and surveil you and search you and watch you from your phone. I mean, that's what you're giving permission up on. If you understand that, there's a huge difference on how you conduct yourself. Like, like I said, right down to like the messages that I use. I encrypt my messages when I communicate with my wife. But I'm not like, delusional to the idea that, everything out there is for somebody else to like, scrutinize and search over, So yeah, Big Brother is watching. I mean, they're watching everything you do. And to be honest with you, if they are watching me every day, I never felt so safe. I mean, I don't have much to worry about then, do I? Who is DoorDash and why have you been doing him? All right, weird. Okay. RWK88, thank you so much for the $4.99. If America gets into bad of shape, we will start a war with another Persian country that has a lot of debt and resources. I'm not worried. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the United States is going to be picking wars like that. They may, but I think probably more it's going to be. I think it's going to be more like, you know, I guess it probably could lead into it, but it's going to be more like trade wars leading into currency wars, like the fight over natural resources, like a lot of what like Russia did to Ukraine. Um, but I don't see that on like a world war scale kind of thing. The United States has already pushed people around enough that if they started like anything like in a military escalation, especially something that was new, I don't think that would be very favorable to them, considering everything that's already happened right now. I don't know. We'll find out. I can't believe 1,300 of you are still sticking around. You guys are awesome. How long have we been out here? Almost 2 hours. This is great. Reconnecting. There we go. Lost connection for a minute. All right. Washington, D.C. is a corrupt and bankrupt corporation. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, but what about your garden? Nuts. Yeah, I feel like the garden this year, normally we do so much gardening, but this year it's just been a terrible year. It's been cold and rainy and it's just not it's just not a good season for it. I mean, there's some stuff that you can do, but like the full on, like getting all the different types of veggies in and, having the great, fantastic, awesome garden, I just don't see it happening this year. Even like our starts, like, at the store we sell like tomato starts and squash starts and stuff. And shoot, during the pandemic, I mean, 2020, the July of 2020, we sold so many starts. Like the gardening thing was off the charts. We couldn't keep the plants in stock. This year, hardly anybody's buying them. Even Mother's Day, we had like these hanging flowers that normally always sell. Hardly anybody bought any. I think we sold like 3 of them out of the, I don't know, 20 of them that we had or something. All right. Man, I want to build a cabin so bad, but them prices. Yeah, I hear ya. It'll come down. It's not going to come down to what we remember, but it's going to come down some. That hat is epic. Yeah, you like the Uneducated Economist hat? This particular one was actually sent to me from a fan, so I do like it. It's one of my favorites. All right. The country people have more ammo and hunting experience. They better stay in the limits. Yeah. I can see where, like, living out in the country definitely has its benefits to survival. Especially, like, the area that I live in, out in the country where I am at, that you lose power a lot. Right? The power is always getting knocked out. So you have to be able to heat your house, or at least heat up some food, or have generators, or just some sort of being able to, survive without electricity, or have the comforts without the electricity. And if you're not used to that, man, is it miserable, especially if it goes on for, 2, 3, 4 days. Then it can get really tough. All right. Hey, last time I watched you about a year ago, you just came up on the feed. What do you think about lumber prices? Yeah, we've been talking a lot about lumber prices here today. So yeah, lumber prices have dropped quite a bit, and I feel that you're probably going to see that continue, into this July contract. I don't think the July contract is going to jump up to the 1,000 per thousand mark. I feel that we're probably going to be sitting on some pretty expensive lumber in the retail end, at least for a little while. But give it a month or two, and that stuff starts circulating through. You're going to find that there's going to be a lot less. You're going to find the prices coming down a lot, but it's not going to come down to like the $3 that you remember like studs being at. Right now, I'm selling a 2x4 8 for around $10. I would imagine that they would come down to like 5 or 6. That could be like the low part of it. 7, maybe. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out, but that's kind of what I see, and that's gonna happen right in the middle of like what you would anticipate being the normal like high for building season. So yeah, very weird. Imagine thinking Elon Musk is the richest person on the planet. Yeah. Man, I'm having a hard time talking here. I might have to cut my live stream, but I thought I saw some more super chats coming up in there. Let me see. There's so many comments in here. I can't believe it. You guys are just amazing. Would forced labor be beneficial to the homeless and society in general? Forced labor. Absolutely not. Okay. This may sound bad, and I know a lot of people probably will give me a hard time about this, but the minimum wage in this country is a complete insult. And it's not because it's so low, it's because it's too high. And who they're insulting are the people who really can't afford it. They're insulting, this is what they're saying. If the minimum wage, say in an area, is $15 an hour, and you can't get a job because you're not smart enough to earn $15 an hour, what this country is telling you is that you are too stupid to work in this country, that you are too stupid to have a job. Because unless you are capable of producing at least $15 an hour for your employer, you're not going to get any work. So you're too dumb. Now, if the employer was allowed to pay you whatever it is that he wanted to, which I know a lot of people are going to argue with me on, but if the employer was allowed to, then that person might be able to like only sweep the parking lot. Like that's the only thing they know that they can get done. They're just not capable of anything else except for sweeping the parking lot. And that may only be worth $5 an hour. But at least they can work. And at least they can earn $5 an hour. But since there is no job that allows them to earn $5 an hour, because you have to earn 15, and you're not smart enough to do that. So you're too dumb to work in this country. It's a complete insult. I don't know. I'm sorry if that offends you guys, but that's the way I feel. Isaac, $5. Thank you very much. What do you think about buying land and waiting for lumber to come down? I really want a new build, but don't want to pay $500,000 for a house in El Paso. I think if you can buy land, buying land, I think buying land is a really wise purchase. Simply because you cannot make any more of it. I mean, well, in Dubai, I guess they made a little bit more. But for the most part, you don't make any more land. It's just what is it in existence is all there's going to be. And so if you have access to owning that, that's awesome because it's very unique. The only thing about owning land is if that's the only thing you own, Well, what if you go into some hard times? What if you need some cash? How do you break off a little piece of your land without taking out like an equity loan or something like that? So owning land is a great idea for the uniqueness of it and the security of it and the fact that there's none of it, no more of it's going to be made. So that makes it like a wise investment in that sense. If it's the only thing you own, then that might make it a little difficult to be the only thing. So, um, I personally believe that if it's something that you can have and it doesn't take away from like your ability to deal with emergencies, owning land is a great thing to do. Especially if you're going to give it away to your family or like leave it in for inheritance purposes or something like that. Yeah. All right, onward. Let's see here. When will J-Pal need to reverse tightening? Okay, so what we're going to find is that at some point we're going to hit the neutral rate. Until then, you have to think the Federal Reserve is still in an accommodating position. Once they get over neutral, they'll be restricting the economy. So right now, they still haven't reached neutral. They're still accommodating the economy. So until they actually reach neutral, that is when we'll be worried about whether or not the Federal Reserve is going to switch course. But until then, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep raising interest rates. They're going to keep going until they hit that neutral rate. And now they're not even quite sure of what neutral is. So like, once you've hit neutral, you might even actually passed it and not even realized it at the time. And you have to be like, oh shit, we hit neutral. We're going to have to, change the direction of our interest rates. So they don't know. There is no like, moment that you can say, here's the time that they're going to actually do it. It's going to be more like, okay, now's the time. Like all the indicators have shown themselves to be now's the time. But it's going to be shortly after they hit that neutral rate. And I feel that neutral is probably, I mean, they say it's somewhere between 2 and 2.5% on the Fed funds level, but I feel that it's less than that. I don't think we're that far from neutral as it is. So, we might hit neutral at 1.5 to 2%, somewhere in there. But they may not talk about us hitting neutral until we get to 2.5, 2.5, somewhere in there. And like I said, by the time you're in neutral, all the indicators are saying, hey, we've done it, and then you'll have to reverse course then. So, like I said, that at that point, I mean, it's not like the Fed is too late. That's the way they do it. They're like, again, like I said, they're looking in the rear view mirror. That's how they drive the car forward. It's strange, Okay, moving onward. I know there's some more super chats in here, and I'm sorry, guys, if I missed them. I'm looking for them, so I'm trying to find them here. Let's see. I think we're going to see a whole new level of entrepreneurship in the U.S. coming out of the millennials and Generation Z. Gone are boomer days of 90% of the workforce being consultants. Yeah, I can see that. All right. Basher, thank you very much for the 1999. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Minimum wage does kick people out of the labor market. Yeah, I mean, I saw it a long time ago, and I have not been a fan of minimum wage my whole life, because pretty much up until, the last 10 years or whatever it was, I really never made that much above minimum wage. So every time they raised the minimum wage, it was just like it just undid the increase in wages that I had, received. So to me, I was like always trying to run away from this minimum wage that was nipping at my heels the entire time. So I hated minimum wage. Every time it went up, it would just drive me crazy. It'd be like, well, so much for my raise, All right, moving on. Let's see here. I'm down the road from our host, have 100 acres, and my property taxes are under $3,000. Yeah, it's amazing. The property taxes outside the city limits are not very much. They are very low. No DR will work for socialist wages. No doctor will work for socialist wages. I don't know. There's doctors who work in socialist countries now, so there is. I mean, they do it. I don't I don't know why. Like, if I was a professional and I was better than anybody else was, then I would want to be compensated for that. And if I'm an American, like I feel that I am, then if I have the money, I would like to be able to spend that money on the best healthcare that can be provided for me. And if it's more money that I can throw at it to get better healthcare, that's the American way. That's the way it works. I mean, that's how come, this country works as well as it does. And it's not just for the rich people to have. I mean, this country functioned for a very long time with very little health insurance. Babies were still born, people were still taken care of. Like the medical industry still functioned. Just because you put a middleman in there doesn't make healthcare better, not by any means. Being a capitalist is good. Yeah, it is. Being a capitalist is good. No permits needed to drill a well here. Okay, well that's cool. The Roman elites liked luxury too. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why they fell. I mean, it was why the nation, almost all nations end up falling. All great nations end up falling due to their people moving into luxury. I mean, it's just the way, it's just the way the society breaks itself down. They have all this increase in money coming in. They thinking, man, all our conquering and all our manufacturing and all our production is just doing so awesome. We should reap the rewards from having all this money. And then they start moving into a better life. And as you move into a better life, it actually starts causing the problem, because that's where the move to luxuries and then foreign imports, and then out goes the manufacturing. And that's the cycle. It's just like no way of stopping it. Thank you very much, Basher, again for the $9.99. Please tell me what you think about investing in country like Saudi Arabia versus the U.S. Do you think Saudi Arabia will always be in good standing considering their leverage with natural resources? As far as investing goes, like, you really have to go with what it is that you feel that you think is going to happen. Like, I've said it many times, I am not a good investor. I don't give out investment advice. I tell people from day one, don't follow this channel for investment advice. What you use this channel for is in conjunction with all the rest of the information it is that you're out there searching and looking at and following. You just use my information as a little piece of that, and you come up with your own ideas. If you feel that Saudi Arabia is a place that you should invest some time and money into, I mean, I say go for it. I personally, I'm not seeing it there. I see the United States as being the one and only place that people are going to want to be at some point here in the future. It's not going to be the appropriate place to be, but they don't know any better, and they aren't going to see it any other way. Like, they're not going to even know what's happening, and so that's the reason why they're going to end up moving towards the United States and to the U.S. dollar. But it's going to be the wrong move, and when they do that, then we'll see it, and we'll know, and we'll try and get out. But everybody else will be going, no, you're doing the wrong thing, and we'll be like, okay. All right, his crystal ball is on the dashboard. It's right here. That's my crystal ball. We do numerology. Minimum wage was for a starter job, an incentive to better yourself, to make more money in a better job. People today don't want to better themselves, just look for handouts. Yeah. I don't know if that's what minimum wage. I mean, again, like, the whole minimum wage thing is, in my opinion, is a very bad idea. I mean, I understand the whole point of it is to try and, like, the system is really set up to prevent people from failing. Like, it really is. It's like, really what they need to, I hate to say it, but it is so easy and so possible for people to become so fabulously wealthy in this country that they actually have to do things to keep people from doing that, like, so that everybody else doesn't fail miserably, because so many people could do so much better, right? But they stifle them, they tax them, they put, like, restrictions and all these agencies against them and stuff like that, to prevent them from actually succeeding into a much better capabilities than they are doing. And the whole point of it is so that, you know, all these people who aren't doing shit with their lives, they don't fail completely. You know, they don't fall into complete failure. So they actually stop people from succeeding. It's weird to think about. I'm sorry. I should think about that one a little bit better and state that in a different way. All right, minimum work for minimum wage. Yeah. Hey, there we go, All Nighter. Finally see you here. Great job today, Simon. Thank you very much, All Nighter. I really appreciate that, man. I always appreciate it every time you comment. I'm not so sure we wussed out from Ukraine war. We were embarrassing pulling out of Afghan. Printed more than anyone. I don't see a good reason to invest in the USD. Um, Well, for those reasons, right. No, it's not. It's not a good reason to invest in the USD. The USD has a really bad reputation. It's like, you know, doing things that would actually cause its demise, like a lot of like, you know, the sanctioning and threatening of not allowing like, you know, Russia's bond purchases to go through. These type of actions, like other countries, even if they're not being sanctioned or even being looked at, they look at that thing and they go like, man, you're doing that to Russia, huh? What's to say you're not going to do that to me? You know, I mean, that's a legitimate thought, you know. And so when these nations see that happening to Russia out there, that gives them a reason to not want to be in the US dollar. But now, outside of that, outside of the emotional feelings that we have, there's contracts written. Now, this is the hardcore part of it because this is stuff that you can't change. It's whether or not you feel good about it or not. It doesn't matter. Contracts are written in US dollars and they're due in US dollars. And these contracts get used as if they're US dollars. And that is adding to the world reserve currency. Not to the world reserve currency like we know it. It's adding to the world reserve currency as it's getting used. So it's adding to this currency. There's more dollars in circulation than even the Federal Reserve knows about because this is a shadow currency system out there. So when people say, the dollar's on its way out, it's going to die. Yeah, it will. But as they get out of it, it's going to cause that shadow currency to go into diminishing state. There's going to be less liquidity out there. That means paying off people's debts or people paying off their debts is going to become ever increasingly harder. Look at Sri Lanka, look at Evergrande, look at China, look at Russia, look at all these places that have issued out dollar-denominated debt. And if you think that's bad, just give it a little bit of time because it's about to get really, really bad for these nations. And so when people say the dollar is dead, it's not. Not yet. It's about ready to inflict some serious pain on people. King Dollar the Destroyer, it's on its way. Let's get rid of Biden. It doesn't matter who you get rid of. It doesn't matter. You can put... It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter who you have in there. It's a left-right paradigm. It's Taco Bell politics. All right. If you want to blame it on Biden, go for it, man. But you're gonna miss it. Right? Politics isn't where it's at. It's at the Federal Reserve. It's the monetary policy. It's economic activity. It's, you know, it's you and me. It doesn't have to do with politics. Those guys are so insignificant when it comes to the economy. I don't know why anybody would even follow them anymore. Right? I have never listened to a single word Biden has ever said. Not one. Right? Anytime he has ever come on, I immediately turn it off. I do not listen to him. I don't listen to any politician. Yeah. All right. Thank you very, man. Oh, Basher, you're very kind. $9.99. Saudi contributed to the U.S. petrodollar, so don't you think they will always ensure their country is in good form in any and every angle, aka the Saudi royal worth, etc. Also, Kuwait, most expensive currency. Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I don't think Saudi Arabia really even cares so much about the United States. It's just that if you have that hegemony, not only does it benefit this Saudi Arabia because their commodity, their number one commodity, is based in the world reserve currency that gives them access to the world imports that are available out there, yeah, I could see where, Saudi Arabia would very much want to do their deals with US dollars so that they would be sitting on dollars. If they switch over to the yuan, they can purchase from China. And yeah, they may find other countries that might want to take the yuan as like a trade, like a reserve currency. The only problem with it is that the yuan is not nearly big enough. Like they don't have a debt market big enough. They don't have a deficit trade big enough to supply the world with enough yuan that it's going to make enough of an impact. I mean, even if Saudi Arabia decided that they were going to convert all their oil over to yuan, at some point they're going to be like, oh, we're sitting on this damn yuan, give us some dollars. All right, and they're going to switch that yuan over to dollars. They'd rather be sitting on dollars, especially if the yuan starts losing value to the dollar. I mean, then they would really want to be sitting on dollars. I mean, again, that's just my opinion. I mean, I could be completely wrong with that, and you'd be like, nope, dude, I'm still going to Saudi Arabia. I'm going to invest there, and I'm going to kill it there, and you might do very well. I don't know, but that's just the way I feel about it. All right, thank you so much, Yamabushi Nate, for the $4.99. Don't have a question, just want to say I've watched this channel since 2019, and it has been right about a lot of things. Thank you. I do have to say that, there's a lot of stuff that I really reach out there for, and I end up being wrong or right or whatever. But I know a lot of times that I'm like ahead. Like, when I saw that the Federal Reserve was going to start lowering interest rates, I immediately started thinking about the time that they go to start lifting interest rates again. Like, as soon as they started lowering, I thought, okay, well, when they reverse course and go back into lifting, now I'm thinking, okay, so when they get to the point of when they go to lower interest rates again, where is that going to be? What is that going to look like? How is that going to be? Because it's going to take a crisis situation at the time. And so this is where I think the UBI and central bank digital currencies and stuff like that will start coming into play. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not right about everything, but I've been right about a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to the lumber trade. I mean, a lot of people were calling me out on that, saying that, we would never see lumber under 1,000 per thousand again. And I'm like, no, we're going to be back down into the 600 per thousand range again. And we touched it today, although I don't know how long we'll stay there. Thank you, Wad MD, for the $9.99. Do you consider yourself financially successful in the current U.S. financial system? Absolutely not. I am broke as hell, have been broke as hell my whole life. I have only recently been able to get myself out of debt, build up a savings. I was able to have enough of a savings to put down onto a house. I do not have credit card debt or car loan debt. My wife does have a car loan debt, but it's very minimal, it's small. But I don't carry any debts other than the house mortgage. That, to me, is a good financial position to be in. I do not consider myself financially successful, not by any means. Give me about 10 years and ask me the question again, and I'll probably have a much better answer for you. But considering that 5 years ago I was $20,000 in debt, had broken down cars, had nothing going, like no savings, no anything going, like I've completely flipped my entire situation around. But I wouldn't call it necessarily a success. Again, give me about 10 years and ask me the question again, and I'll have a much better answer for you then. I think I've been successful at creating like cash flow opportunities, like, with jobs. I mean, I have a day job I call bingo. I do the YouTube. I try and sell merchandise on it, try and make money wherever I can. So I have created a situation where I have a lot of like opportunities to make money in different directions, which I think is like very useful to becoming financially successful. And having something that has like a passive income to it, like the YouTube channel does, I think that is probably one of the best things that an individual can do. Even if it's just a small amount, like it doesn't matter how small of the passive income it is. Like when this channel first started making money, like I would put out a video I would be lucky if it made $1. Like seriously, it like at the end of the month, if I made $30 on the channel, that was like a good month. it wasn't until like the channel made like $100 or $300 a month that I thought, holy moly, this thing is really something. I can have a car payment off of this. But I didn't like dream of having money. All I dreamed of was just like putting out good videos and just kind of creating the passive income, not necessarily like with the goal of how much it was going to be. And it just kept going. Like, I just kept pushing that. And having that passive income was probably one of the most beneficial things to my life, because like all of a sudden I had a way of making money that I could do it while I was sleeping. So I could put out a video and know that the effort of putting that video out was doing something for me, even though I wasn't putting effort into it. And so it constantly had this like feeling that I was doing something, progressing through life. So just having like even a small passive income is really beneficial in your psyche. It just like, it keeps you moving. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think you guys get it. Man, you guys have been killing it on the super chats. Of course, I've been out here for over 2.5 hours now, so. But I wish I could find all these super chats because I know I've missed some. I'm sorry about it, guys. Minimum wage had a usefulness back when unions did too. As a healthcare worker, I've been state to state, and the only ones that even have unions are the ones that don't need them. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Let's see here. Moving on. Let's see. If the yuan gets backed by, I guess, gold, it would limit their ability to create debt. It would be. And it would also limit their ability to supply the world with enough currency to be a world reserve currency at that point. Gold could act as a world reserve currency. There is very little doubt in my mind that it could. I just don't see nations using it as that. And it would create such a limit to governments and how they could operate that nobody would voluntarily do it. If the people decided that they weren't going to do anything else but use gold and silver, then the governments wouldn't have any other choice. They would just have to do it. But since the people don't make decisions like that, or any kind of decision even remotely close to it, then I just don't see it happening. Doesn't mean that gold isn't a good thing to hold. I mean, central banks and governments around the world hold it too, so they know it's a useful commodity. Thank you, Ad 2020 for the $1.79. Thoughts on how Ukraine-Russia war would end? Outside of like Ukraine and the world accepting the fact that Ukraine's going to sell its commodities in a central bank digital currency that's based behind the ruble, that's how I would see it ending. That's what I would think would happen. So I feel Russia wants Ukraine to sell its commodities in Russian rubles, however that's done. And if they could agree to that, then it would end. Right? Outside of that, I think the fighting will continue. And no matter how much one side or the other gets beat up, I think they could spend many years fighting it out there. And I don't wish for that, Svit, 1999, thank you so much. First sign of pain I've been seeing is trucking industry. I have transport refrigeration repair business, and all of my customers have been feeling serious pain. Many of them are selling their trucks. Yeah, and this is something that we have followed just recently. Freight Waves is a great online publication that has been covering this for some time. And I tell you, man, some of the things that's coming out of like the trucking industry as far as an indicator of where like the demand for like anything. Well, you got to think, if you ever made a purchase of any kind of item, it was at one time shipped on a truck, right? It was one time transported on a truck. And if trucking industry is going down, like it's hitting into a recession, you know that the rest of the economy is right there behind it. So it's about ready to happen, and trucking is probably the best indicator of it. Okay. How are they going to get here from Africa? I don't know what he's talking about. Okay. No debt. You are one good idea away from being rich, my friend. I know. And I keep I keep feeling like there's something like I'm missing, and that's why I think it's that book. And I'm trying, guys. I have been typing. I've been trying to just type out. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just like, just trying to get into the habit of putting like words into the computer, as far as just getting into this state of like typing. And today I did some pretty good stuff. Like, I actually thought, this could be like a good beginning part of this book. And if I can roll with that idea, I think I could come up with a book, and I think that would be like my useful idea, my worthy goal. And if I can get that book out, then who knows what can come from that? Speaking tours or what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I write a good book, who knows what could happen from it? So, I mean, if I put good thoughts and energy into it, then we should be able to come up with something that's decent. All right. Investments after 10 years. I don't know what that means. Okay. Man, there's got to be some more super chats. There's so many comments. You guys are awesome. All right. I am OTR commercial trucker driver. I listen to your videos every day. I learn a lot. Keep up the good work. Much respect to you. Well, thank you very much, Sam. I really appreciate that. All right. Parallel economy won't happen. The government would just demonetize it and crush it. Oh, you thinking like dual currencies, like a competing currency? There will be, but nobody will notice the difference. There's going to be the dollar, like the cash, and then there's going to be central bank digital currencies, the digital dollar. They're going to be two separate currencies, although they are going to work side by side, completely exchangeable for one another. But people are not going to recognize that there is an actual difference between the two, and one won't chase the other one out. The government will eliminate, the banking system will literally pull the cash out of the system by charging people to deposit or withdraw cash. And it'll make it such a nuisance that people won't want the cash, the other currency. They're going to want to use the central bank digital currency just to avoid that nuisance. And because they don't recognize any difference between using a debit card or a central bank digital currency, they'll fall right into it, and they won't have any problems using it. Let's see here. Nature Magazine explains this. Not new. I work with Venoms and the monkey. Huh, that must be some other conversation. Yes, passive income exists. It is simply means putting your money to work instead of your time. Yeah, and there's a lot of ways of making passive income. I mean, there was a lot of people who make like passive income just buying dividends, paying stocks, It doesn't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be much to change the way you think and the way you feel about it. And if it's a passive income that you can add to, like you can work towards building, that's the best way to go about it. That's why I love this YouTube channel. I mean, I can put out YouTube videos, and then those YouTube videos throughout the years will sit there and trickle in pennies as people are watching them. They go back and watch the past videos, and I can get a little bit of money off of them. It's not great. Like, if I just stopped making videos altogether, eventually the channel would probably just die off. But as long as I'm putting out fresh content and I'm bringing in new viewers, then people want to go back and watch the past videos, and it does pretty good. Especially now that it's 1,000 videos into it, and what is it, since November of 2017? It's getting quite big. Good vibes is contagious. Yeah, good vibes are contagious. You're absolutely right. Positive thoughts, positive feelings, moving in a direction of that kind of caliber. Anytime you ever get yourself around somebody who is constantly spitting out negativity, who's like, you can't say anything. Like, you're just walking, like today, it's sunny out, right? But the wind is blowing, right? Somebody might be walking with them and saying, man, it's great to not have to walk in the rain today. It's such a beautiful day. They might be like, it's just cold as hell out, And it would be like, well, you're trying to make it positive, saying that the rain isn't here. We got the sun, not saying anything negative, and then all of a sudden, yeah, but it's cold because the wind is blowing. If you live in this negative thought, then you are going to have a negative life. And so you have to put yourself in the positive frame of mind on a regular basis. It's okay to be down. Like, it's okay to get negative at times. Negative things happen, and it's okay to be upset about stuff, but you can't dwell in these things. If you do, you're going to attract negative things to your life, and you'll never have anything positive or benefit happen to you, you know? And I got to find some more of these super. There we go. Tyler B, $2. Thank you. Oil to 150. I don't know. I don't think oil. It could go to 150. I mean, it can go to 200 or 250 or whatever. It could get that high, but you got to think, like, how much purchasing of gas is going to take place when it gets to 150. I mean, here we are at 110 right now, and gas is $5 a gallon. I mean, at least in my area, it's $5. I hear it's quite a bit more in some other areas. But it's $5 a gallon. People really aren't happy about driving as it is. They're getting rid of their big gas guzzling vehicles. You know, I don't see where there's going to be a huge demand for gasoline when it gets up to 150 a barrel. You know, is that to say that it won't happen? No, but once it gets there, the economic activity is going to diminish so much that it won't stay at 150 for very long before, you know, the demand just isn't there for it. Just ignore the news media and you'll be happy and healthy. Yeah, I could almost agree with that. You know, the media can be very, I mean, I hate to say it because I see it happen on my channel too, but like when I put out a video and I title it something like market crashes tomorrow and everybody dies, I'm going to get a lot of views off of that. I mean, it's just going to happen. There's people who are going to click on that video from the title alone. And since, like, fear sells, that's what the media is all about. They're all about scaring the hell out of you. And if they can scare the hell out of you, you're gonna eat it up because people, for some reason, just really, really like being scared. And I think, like, it's not that they want to be scared. I think that they are concerned. And if you get this information that scares you, it somehow, like, makes you feel like you're going to be aware of it, and this is somehow, like, protecting you. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. If that's like the psychological thing that's happening there, but it seems that people really just enjoy being having the shit scared out of them. I don't know why, you know. But that's what you end up finding a lot on the mainstream media. And so I try to do very descriptive titles. If you notice, lately I did do a couple that were clickbait style titles, like the title of this one as well. But you know, it sells, and you know, I get a lot of people here, and you know, I don't think like I put fearful content in my channel, but I might have done like a clickbaity title. Anyway, moving on. Let's see, Wad MD 1999. Thank you very much. I have enjoyed your channel. I don't agree with the capitalist view on the solutions such as minimum wage. That's totally cool. You don't. I mean, not agreeing is awesome. I mean, that's how we make a conversation happen. Or inflation. I like Richard Wolff's view better, but I like you guys both. You're awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Again, the channel is just about information. It's my opinion, right? It's not there trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to give you some information that I have in the way that I see it. Excuse me. A lot of times, such as yourself, you know, you watch like opposing information to confirm your own beliefs, to say, no, I am valid in my beliefs. The person that I'm following, they gave in their information, their argument. I don't agree with that. I think it's wrong, and I'm going to continue on believing what it is that I believe. And that's totally legit. Like, that's a valid argument to go with. You know, but then again, you may watch my information, you might like say, oh, bro, you know, you're right. I never thought about it in such fashion. I really have to rethink the way I'm seeing things and take this into consideration now. You know, if that happens, awesome. Because that's really what the whole point of the channel is, right? I mean, it's actually for both. It's for both ways. It's to, you know, it's either to help along with you understanding what it is that you have as far as information, or it's to help confirm the information that you've already established that you know to be true. I mean, either way, whether I'm right or wrong, it can do that for you. And that's the point of this channel. And I agree. Gosh, there are so many of you guys here who have donated today and contributed to the channel. I cannot thank you enough. I mean, my gosh, you know, what an incredible you know, live stream today. What do you think a safe bank is? I don't know if there's necessarily a safe bank. I personally use local credit unions. I think that they're safer, but that's only slightly. I mean, just because they're local and they generally have like members that are in the community. So to me, that's like closer to home, and anything you get closer to home is better, whether it's the food or the work you get or the banking that you do, all that stuff. I mean, if it's closer to home, the better it is. So I think the safer bank to go with it would be the local unions, so like community union banks. Let's see. Yes, it is on sale. Get it while you can. It's a commodity, not just money. Silver. Oh, talking about silver? Yeah, it's like I said, over the last 6 months, it's pretty much been the only thing that I have purchased. I purchased a little bit of crypto, but pretty much it's just been silver and stacking cash. That's it. Thank you for the advice. Find a DM near me on here. Anyone with advice or helpful, hand up. Thanks. I'm not sure what that is. Jebediah, thank you very much for the $2. Just wanted to give you money. Well, thank you, man. I thank you very much, man. That's very cool of you. George, man, you sent me $100. You're so rad, man. You are so rad. Thank you. Keep doing what you do, brother. The money will come. See you at the Rebel Capitalist Live, man. I am so looking forward to going down there and shaking your hand again. I am going to be there in Florida with you at the end of June at the Rebel Capitalist Live event. I'm dragging my sister down with me, who is very excited because I haven't hung out with my sister in a very long time, since we were kids. And so this is going to be a fun trip to go on. And she's pumped up to go down and hang out and see all the great speakers, and I'm looking forward to it as well. And thank you, George, man. Thank you for the $100. You're very cool. All right, all-nighter. You are awesome, George. Yeah, George is awesome. George is a great guy. I mean, to think like, it's funny how I met George. I don't know how many of you know this, but like George, when George had started his channel and he had maybe 4 or 5 videos out and a few hundred subscribers. And I'm just scrolling through YouTube and I come across George's channel and I'm watching him do this video and I'm like, holy moly, this guy is good. Like, I mean, it's really good. And so I put a list of a couple of YouTubers together that I wanted to give a shout out to. Alaska Prepper being one of them, and Bull Boom Bear Bust, and a few other guys. And George Gammon happened to be one of them. And I was just like, hey, doesn't have a big following yet, but he's putting out this amazing content. I said, guys, please go check out George Gammon's channel and, show him some love, subscribe, and, like his videos and stuff. Well, George was so taken back by that. He contacts me. He's like, man, thank you so much for the shout out. I really appreciate it. Hey, I have like, a crew that works on my channel. I want to, have them help you out with your channel a little bit and kind of get you upgraded and, see if we can get you moving a little bit more on your channel. I'm like, wow, George, thanks a lot. So I talked with this crew. They kind of gave me some pointers on the channel on what it is that I could do. I'm not flashy like George. I don't have like the fancy thumbnails and all the other stuff. I'm much more like, down to earth, because that's who I am. I'm working class just like you guys are. And so I used some of their advice and kept some of the stuff, that I wanted. And he says, hey, man, I would love for you to come on the channel and do an interview. And so I went on George's channel, did an interview, and we've been friends ever since. Like, literally, this channel, brought me brought me in contact with like one of the most amazing YouTubers out there, who's making contacts with some of the most amazing economists in the world. So yeah, he's like invited me along for the ride, and I tell you, I can't thank him enough. Um, I know George would probably say, "Oh, buddy, it was all you who did it," but really, he gave me a nice boost, with especially when it came to some of the interviews on his channel, and some of the shout outs and the invite down to the Rebel Capitalist live event in Houston, where I got to speak on stage for an hour. And I tell you, man, that experience alone was life changing. And he was able to offer that for me, and yeah, man, changed my life. I can't thank him enough. George is the man. All right, onward. All right, there was people from the stupid trucker protest that got 65 subs in a week. 65,000 subs in a week. Okay, it happens. I mean, again, I want quality subs, right? I want quality subscribers and quality comments, even if they're opposing comments, just like the one we had. It's okay. I mean, that's what I want for this channel, is for us to have this discussion, for all of us to learn about economics, to be able to provide for our families a way of life that is not in a fearful manner. Like, we are confident with what we are doing. That's what I want for this channel, is for everybody to feel confident with what it is that they're doing. Hey, the Lumberjack Landlord, thank you so much for the $50, man. Very nice. Love this guy. Get those super chats out for the man that gives us so much. Man, you are so cool. Thank you very much for the $50. Let's do an interview soon, man. There's a lot to talk about inside of the lumber industry. If you got the time, let's set one up. Maybe not next week, but the week after, like in 2 weeks. That would be really cool if you got the time. Or anytime you got. I mean, my days. So, and thank you very much for the $50. It's very generous of you. You guys are so awesome. Remember the Alamo. Guys are talking about monkeypox, huh? That's a big deal right now. I saw a couple of articles on it, but I didn't get into much into the monkeypox, trying to read up on that. A lot of this stuff, it ends up being such a hyped up thing that I just don't, and I just end up kind of pushing it aside for now. So. Hey, what time is it on the West Coast? I can't tell because I can't see what time it is on my phone. If somebody could tell me, that would be great. I think I have to go here soon. Let's see. You are a straight gangster. Keep the content coming, G. I will. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate the compliment. All right. The rest is physical metals, cash in hand, mattress stuffers, anonymous. What are you invested in overall? Mostly silver and cryptocurrencies. That's my major investments. And then a little bit into stock portfolio. But I mostly hold cash. I'm mostly in a cash position. Well, I wouldn't say mostly in a cash position. I'm mostly headed towards a cash position. That's what I should say. I'm not investing into assets of any kind. Alrighty, guys. I just wanted to see if there was any more super chats down here because I didn't want to miss anybody's questions. Oh, there we go. But I'm going to have to get going here real soon. Ralph, thank you for the $1.99. He says, awesome channel. Really appreciate it, man. I really do. Thank you. Let's see here. Monkeypox loves. You guys are all over this monkeypox. All right. I think I just finally made it to the bottom here. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We've been out here for almost 3 hours. I would love to just stay out here and just keep, talking with the comments and stuff, but I really got to get going. I think we were planning on going and finding some ducklings. I had some ducks, but I lost them to the raccoons, which sucks because I'll tell you the story about it some other time. I feel bad about it, but Freddie, he was bummed out about it. So we're gonna go get some ducklings and we're gonna raise them and lock them up properly so the damn raccoons don't get them. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me. Thank you all so much for the very generous super chats. Thank you, George. Thank you, Lumberjack Landlord. Go check out Lumberjack Landlord's YouTube channel. You guys are awesome. You guys are so rad. Thank you very much. Oh, and I can't forget, Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.